It's back.
No filter.
Yeah, no filter. Now I just need like do yoga poses.
The true magic trick, Mike, is take your pop filter away for a moment.
Just the pop filter?
Just the pop filter, and then watch this. Your pop filter is here with me in Arizona. What? Oh my God. I gotta get rid of it though. I'll give it back to you. There you go. You can have it.
How'd you guys do that?
Magical.
Oh my God.
Magic.
Oh my God, we're nerds.
Wow.
You guys, whose hand is this?
I don't know.
I have both mine.
That's amazing.
It's not even attached to me.
It's a little weird.
Waiting for that whole thumb thing somebody to do, right?
It's like Jesus on Family Guy.
No religion.
Sorry. This is a Family Guy reference.
I'm just shitting you. Okay, well, I don't know who else is coming tonight. Chris said he might. Shane, maybe. Ryan said he might come in later. I don't know about Alex. I see Chris is in the chat now. So he might be joining. And hopefully he won't sit there for an hour and a half. He did last time.
Yeah, technically he could actually use listening to this content. That'd be good.
And there he is.
Hello.
Hey, Chris. I once again have to commend you for your character sheet.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You'll be here all night.
Try the lobster.
Okay, well, I think Maggie is the only newcomer for tonight, so we will get started, I suppose. And Chris can hear all the intro stuff. So, here we go. Is everyone here? Everyone okay? See everyone okay?
Sound check.
Everyone,
so far, so good.
Everyone's in roll 20 or right. Friday. Okay, guys. Everyone have a good week.
Friday's the best.
Totally.
Everyone have a drink.
Yes.
Drink. Excellent.
I have a root beer. It's a really good one.
It's got beer in the name.
Yeah, it counts.
I'm good with it. Welcome to 5th edition Friday, Maggie.
Yeah.
So, this is session 0, where we're going to go over our introductions, ground rules, notes about our setting, resources we'll be using, house rules, and all that stuff. So I will kick things off here and do brief introductions. So I met Maggie through my current employer.
Mhm.
She's no longer there, which is really sad, but
But I still bug you
you do still bug me.
for
which is
help.
fine, which is fine. So, yeah. I've got Chris here, who I went to the dojo with. Matt, who I went to high school with. He's in Arizona. And Rick is a fellow gamer that I met through Gen Con.
Oh, awesome.
So, Maggie, if you could give us a quick introduction and maybe a little background on your gaming history. I know fairly limited, so
Very limited.
we are here to help.
Yeah. I mean, I'm Maggie. It's not. I live in Chicago. You will sometimes hear one of the two or both of my dogs in the background because there's no controlling them, and it's a tiny apartment. I have a very limited gaming background. I mean, I've done like tabletop stuff before, but I've never played D&D. I've always wanted to, but I've never been able to get a group together. So I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. But I'm super excited.
Awesome. I'm always happy to bring someone into the hobby.
My girlfriend thinks I'm like beyond nerd and is baffled. So that'll be fun too.
We can't guarantee your success, but as long as you bring enthusiasm, we will be happy to have you here.
That's all I want.
That feels like a very fitting motto. Like, that's perfect.
Yeah,
I'm a
so
big fan of the idea of a game that you don't have to win because I'm not actually a very competitive person at all.
that's excellent. There's always debate on whether there is winning in role-playing games or not. I'm of the mind that there's only winning
On character sheets.
in the respect that you're having fun. If you are having fun, you're winning.
I like it.
I mean, you can have fun having your character killed, so that's not necessarily losing.
Yeah, because then you get to make a new character, right?
Yeah.
That's fun.
And unless you have a dick DM, you're not going to get punished for it. So
Okay. You're not a dick.
I try not to be.
You've never
All
played
right.
D&D with him before. Just kidding.
That's true, but he's very nice to me at work.
My kid very well may bust through the door here momentarily. So
Okay.
sorry if that happens. Well, cool. Like I said, I am super excited to bring you in, and we will, of course, be patient with you. A lot of us are fairly new to the online gaming, so we're all going to be learning.
Okay.
So don't feel alone here. Let's push things through and have everyone else give a quick introduction. For those of you that were here last week, sorry for making you do it again, but we want to make Maggie feel welcome. So, Chris.
I'm Chris. I live in Indianapolis, and as Mike said, we met at the dojo. I have a little bit of tabletop and RPG experience. It's like you, Maggie, just wanted to play for a long time and haven't had a chance to, but I've done a lot of reading about it. I played a little bit of D&D 3.5 in college, so that was my introduction to it, and played some Neverwinter Nights. But then, and also doing it online in this format is totally new for me. I can't stop rolling the dice and the Roll20. But hopefully I'll get the hang of that. But no, so far it seems like a good group, and I'm excited to have you and to be back.
Awesome.
And Matthew Larson.
Yes, sir. So, Mike said briefly there, I've known him since high school. Back in the day, we were like best friends, and I spent most of my time usually at his house, hanging in his room. And that's when I really thought about it after last week. That's really what kind of started getting me into a lot of RPGs, was watching him play ones on like Xbox and different things, like we mentioned last week, Morrowind and the Elder Scrolls series. And that kind of just continued to take off as far as video games went, all the Final Fantasies, Kingdom Hearts, everything Elder Scrolls, Fallout. So it's usually been a lot of video game related RPGs, always my favorite type of game. And then in the last couple of years, I finally got a group of people together who some had played D&D, some hadn't, and we've been more or less regularly playing. It's supposed to be a weekly Tuesday game. More often than not, it either goes 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So I was really hoping to find a group that was a bit more, A, serious about it, and B, you know, would actually meet on a regular basis. So when Mike kind of mentioned this idea almost in passing on Facebook not that long ago about, you know, hey, well, I might do something online, I was like, that would be awesome. And then he hits me up recently, and here we are. So I've technically only played D&D, you know, with that one other group. So I'll be curious to see what the differences are, you know, with another GM, because some things I definitely have questions about. So I might ask an occasional question here or there, but I've got a little experience.
Cool.
Cool. Rick.
Hi, my name's Rick, and I'm an alcoholic.
Me too.
No, I'm sort of kidding. Mike and I met last year through Chip Theory Games at Gen Con, playing an awesome game called Too Many Bones. And I got drug into D&D by a couple of my best friends, and it is one of my passions. I run a bi-weekly, every other Tuesday night game on Roll20 and broadcast it on Twitch. And it's basically just me and my buddies rolling dice and making fun of each other. I run a very different game from what I've seen so far from Mike, but my whole thing was I want my friends to get together, and because I don't get to see them very often, and everybody except for one guy in the group has kids, and so we play online so that people don't have to leave their house and that we can have more of a likelihood of getting together. I have limited experience playing in 5th edition because I've been running it. I loved 4th edition D&D, even though very many people didn't, because it was my first experience. So hopefully for you, Maggie, this will be a good experience for you. And totally new group. Don't really know any of you guys. Never actually hung out with any of you except for Mike outside of this space. So excited to get to maybe make some new friends. Yeah, nervous.
Awesome.
So we'll see. And if I'm too much of a talker, just mute me.
Cool. So you know me, Maggie. Little background on my gaming history. I started role-playing back in elementary school in AOL chat rooms in a little world called Raiden. It was all chat-based and pretty much free-form. And transferred into D&D in middle school for a brief moment. Never really read the rules, just kind of played as kids do. And then took a very long hiatus and did a lot of video gaming, like Matt said. And then got into tabletop board games in the last 5 years, 6 years or so. And then got really into RPGs in the last year. So I've been running a lot of games in Savage Worlds and D&D, playing a few one-shots here and there in other systems. And I'm pretty much in love with the hobby. I love the creativity outlet that it provides and the social bonding, everything like that. So I am really excited to bring together a group of people that have never met and run a game. I haven't experienced doing that. Usually anything that I've run is with people that are familiar with each other. And I also like the idea of bringing people from all across the country together. So we've got Matt and Ryan, who is not with us today, in Arizona. You're in Chicago, and then the few of us in Indianapolis. So it's a diverse group, and I'm super excited to be running. This will be my first actual campaign that I've run on Roll20, so everyone bear with me while I learn how it works. I try to do as much prep as I can, but I'll probably fumble around.
Dude, you're doing great.
Yeah,
Yeah, we haven't
confession.
even started.
I haven't had a chance to really look around in it very much, but I will tell you all now that I am enthusiastic, but break technology with my mind. So I'm that person that asks you stupid questions at work about how things work. So just prepare yourselves for that.
Hey, I know many people that are like on a different level than you in terms of ineptitude. So
I have learned that as well through work. I have learned that I actually, to some people, may be considered a damn technology genius, but that's terrifying.
no
You
wizard.
are talking on the internet right now. That's beyond me.
And so many people would be very baffled by that. So there is that.
Part of my job is to explain to people how to do things like this. So we got you covered.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, my professional job has been for the last about 4 to 5 years, a new hire trainer and then turning into a trainer of tenured agents. So I work at a technology company, GoDaddy, out here. So if there's one thing I know how to do, it's teach somebody who knows nothing a thing. So you won't have any problems over here from any questions.
Technology
good.
not so scary. We make easy for you.
Well, and I'm a
Good.
wizard.
You are a wizard.
Especially with the way you're using the tech. Like, it's crazy to think, and I think I mentioned this last week, Mike. It's just mind-blowing to me that I meet face-to-face with my group, and there is not nearly the amount of depth and understanding and everything that you've already put together using the tech that you're using. So I don't know if this is the bar you're trying to set so that everybody else I play with are a bunch of assholes, but
That's
like,
exactly
I
what he's
love
trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, and you're sitting here and you fleshed out a world. Like, it's pretty astounding.
Wait, the blacksmith's wife has a name?
That may be true. I don't know.
You know, her first crush. You know, her first failed marriage. He's got it all. He's got it all.
I'm relying on you guys to do all this too. So I'm
True.
I'm setting the bar for you.
Well, and that's gonna be something too that when the time comes, you'll have to explain it thoroughly, because if Maggie doesn't have some D&D background, your queue system's gonna be like, oh, that's standard operating procedure. All you got to know is when that time comes and he starts mentioning queues, yeah, Mike's blowing some minds over here. And we'll have to why.
Got it.
I think it'll actually work out better for Maggie because she doesn't have any preconceived notions
Very
about
true.
tabletop role-playing games and you know, being ingrained in D&D 3.5 that so many people are ingrained in, or Pathfinder, things like that, where people have been doing this same thing for years and years and years and years, and it's the same thing. I like to try to bring something new. So
I can tell you that friend of mine I had last week, Cronin, he's played D&D since like middle school, basically. And when you were mentioning the queue system, he said to me, he goes, "Oh wow, he's gonna have you guys help build the world. That's kind of lazy from a DM point of view." And then you start explaining it all, and he was like, "Oh wow, that's actually really badass." And I'm like, "Yeah, there you go. Preconceived D&D notions told him that was a lazy maneuver to not build your own world."
Fucking awesome.
And full confession, it is lazy, right? Because a lot of times the DM is such an asymmetrical role when it comes to playing D&D. I mean, they put hours and hours and hours and hours of prep into running these games, and the players can get by with little more than putting together a character sheet and coming to play. So yeah, it is a little lazy, but I'm a DM and I get tired.
Well, yeah, it's equal parts lazy, equal parts getting the characters really invested in the world. I mean, we haven't even started, and you've already been seeing everything everybody's been putting together. It's definitely getting everybody bought in.
Yeah, that's the vision, man. I want everyone to be as invested in the world as they are their character, and really the world and the character are one and the same when you think about it. So that's what I'm going for.
And there's a lot of that, Maggie, lately. It's ego stroking of Mike. So I guess maybe we'll move on to something at this point.
Yeah,
you know,
stop.
that's the foundation of my relationship with Mike, as it turns out. I ask him to do things for me at work. He does them immediately, and I draw pictures of wizards and send them to him and tell him that he's a wizard.
You draw pictures?
Yeah, sometimes.
That's super awesome.
Or I just find Harry Potter memes. But either way, he's a wizard.
Yeah. So a little background on that. So Maggie has a friend that we share a mutual acquaintance with, named Adrian, and she also worked at our place of employment. And I don't really know how it came about, but my nickname became the Wizard because I apparently
know all of the
did
things, and you do them very quickly.
All of the things. So, if you hear us doing the whole wizard thing, it's an inside joke, and we don't care. If you don't care. So.
All right, got it, Wizard.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wizard.
Yep. So I somehow always get these nicknames. In high school, it was the Scientist. Now it's the Wizard. always a nerd. I'm okay with it. Okay, we will move on to the ground rules section, Maggie. Won't hang on to this for too long, but since we don't all know each other, and we are not all, acquaintances of years and years and years, I want to limit any real-world politics and real-world religion, because inevitably there will be differing opinions, and someone will be upset about something someone says. So try to limit the politics and religion as much as possible, and we'll all be happy. No one wants to talk about Trump. No one wants to talk about Trump.
We came here to play D&D, not to get in arguments about politics.
I like it.
Yeah. And leading into that, we are implementing what is called an X card into the game, which is a method for us to make known if we're uncomfortable with a situation that's being explored in the game. And it may be a comment that someone has made out of character. It could be a situation that's going on in the story. So if I'm, laying out something about babies getting raped by cultists or something, and that does not float your boat, you would play an X card.
Okay.
And are you in Roll20 right now?
Yeah. Well, maybe because my computer has apparently timed out, so. I thought I was.
There you are.
There I am.
There you are.
That
Okay.
much I knew how to do.
Awesome. Hey, that's a start. So if you look down at the bottom of your screen where it says Maggie B,
Mm-hmm.
right above that you should see a little card, a black card with a 1 on it. You see that?
I see it.
So if you click on that, it brings up a little picture, and it says X deck. If you grab that card and click
okay.
and drag it onto the screen.
I'm just doing this now.
Oh, I think I just stole it from you. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, it will show there. Can you guys? Yeah, you can see that. It is a card, and it has a big X on it, and it says, "Please stop and roll back the scene." And basically, what that means is that whoever played that is not comfortable with the situation, and we are going to stop, roll back. No one's going to ask any questions, and we will take another avenue. Because, certain things trigger certain people in certain ways, and we want to make sure that everyone's comfortable in this space.
Cool.
So that is that. Feel free to use it. I told everyone last week, don't be afraid on my behalf, because I am a sick and twisted individual that is pretty okay with everything. But that doesn't mean everyone else is. I know that Rick and Shane both shared that they don't really like killing babies, so we're going to avoid killing babies during our game, which I think is a reasonable ask.
That's fair.
And that's really it in terms of the ground rules. We also discussed briefly that we would like to leave cell phones off, if possible.
Okay. I'm actually connected through my cell phone right now, but
Oh, well, yeah, that's fine.
Well, turn off your
And
cell phone, damn it.
I was going to say the rule's absolute, Mike. Don't go and do that. No cell phones, Maggie. No cell phones. Come on.
it won't ring or anything. I promise you that.
Yeah, so really just don't be disengaged from the game is the big thing here. Is we've all invested some time and effort into this, and we don't want anyone shitting on that, really.
We don't want anyone shitting on anything. I mean,
That's true.
just to be clear.
You guys didn't really realize this, but I'm in the bathroom right now. That's why.
Where's my X card? I'm
I'm uncomfortable.
You told us you were in the closet. You didn't say it was a water closet.
If that was a shower curtain and he actually recorded in the tub because he liked the acoustics, that'd be hilarious.
I love reverb, guys.
That's tremendous.
So, okay. Maggie, do you have anything in terms of ground rules that you can think of? Anything you want to get that out there at the start that you want to make us aware of?
I don't think so.
Cool. Chris, Matt, Rick, anything that you want to share before that you didn't get the chance to before?
I like puppies.
Puppies are
Me
pretty awesome.
too.
I like kittens.
I like kittens.
Have you seen
Ugh.
the kitten shirt commercial?
No.
I forget who it was. It was like Hanes Tagless Tees or something. They were talking about how it was soft as wearing a shirt made out of kittens. It was really funny.
That's X card material for me, man. That sounds like animal cruelty.
No, they were happy. They were
That's
happy.
what I thought.
Love mutilated kittens. Like
That's
just
a lie. That's a lie because cats are never happy.
Okay,
That's
well,
true.
They were live and unmaligned and undisturbed kittens that this guy was trying to wear like a shirt, and it was really difficult because he couldn't move or else he would upset the kittens.
And that is fair. I mean, if you're talking cats are all assholes, but kittens are nice, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
They're
fair.
uncorrupted. They come out corrupted, but that's okay.
I mean, they'll get there eventually, right? They're they're little spawns of Satan, but
Yeah.
they start out
I only have dogs, but I'm
Ditto.
sure.
dogs.
Yeah.
My dogs are pretty big assholes most of the time, actually. So
Big dogs.
So
or
you have
little dogs?
cats.
I have a big dog and a little dog. They're both staring at me right now because there's pizza sitting next to me.
Puppy.
Yeah. They would love all of, well, the little one would love all of you. The big one would not.
All right, cool. So we will move on to the setting itself. So I am going to, in Roll20, share something with you. I'm going to show this to you. It should show up on your screen.
I see it.
Excellent. So the game we're playing takes place in the Valley of Auchendale. It's a
What?
Sorry, guys.
What?
okay.
Okay.
You. You can hear Ruby's toys.
Hi.
I'll be back.
Okay. Compose yourself.
I can hit it.
I know.
So, the game we are playing takes place in the Valley of Auchendale. It's a fairly, I would say, let's see, what did we say? 100 miles. Maybe a Texas-sized region
Oh, okay.
of an undisclosed world that has not really been named or developed, aside from the little region that we're in of Auchendale. The game itself is going to take, or at least start, in a small trade village known as Doncaster. It's really the most centralized town in all of Auchendale, and it's about 500 people. Although, because of the amount of trade caravans going through, depending on the time of year, that population can swing wildly. So that's where we're going to be. Auchendale is isolated from the rest of the world. From the west is the Motion Ocean, which is mostly impassable. No one really has gone through the Motion Ocean and back and lived to tell about it. And those that have, most people don't really believe. And same goes for up north in the Dewhurst Mountains. They line the northernmost part of the realm. The eastern part of the realm is mostly unexplored due to it being completely uninhabitable. It's nasty swampland for as far as the eye can see, and literally no one has made it all the way through and all the way back to see what's on the other side. Down to the south is the what's it called? Desert. The here. The Yahuza Desert. The Ghostwood Desert. There it is. Yeah. I'll actually bring you guys over here so you have a bigger view of it. There you go. There's the map. Bigger. As you'll see the flag, click and hold there. Boom. That's Doncaster. It is on Heroes Road, which is the main trade route between Dewhurst over here and Windermere over here. Windermere is the largest city in the realm. It's often considered the capital of Auchendale, although that holds no provenance. It's just the biggest city around, and everyone considers that to be the capital. And then Dewhurst is the second largest city
Okay.
in the realm. Then there is an elven nation led by a tyrant in the forest of Egerndin. And over in the northeast corner of the realm is Mount Grimsby. It's an active volcano that looms dreadfully over the realm. No one dares go near it, and it is a huge expanse of rocky crags and magma flowing. It's mostly horrible, and very few people go over there.
Mostly
We've got-
horrible. So really descriptive. Okay, go on.
You've got three main lakes. If you would consider the Great Lakes in our world, these are similar to that size. They're fairly large. Large river, the Dunmead River, flows through the realm, which is a major trade route along with the Heroes Road. So many skiffs and trade barges flow through the river to move goods from here to there. Let's see, what else do we want to know? The forest that you see kind of in the middle there, it's the Forlothan Forest. Mostly elves live there. Natural habitat for spiders and wolves and terrible beasts like furbolgs. The realm itself is mostly human, although there's a good elf population, a good half-elf population, some dwarves, and some halflings. So there are, especially in Doncaster, some monstrous races that are very much outcasts and a minority. So you've got the big three: humans, dwarves, and elves, making up the majority of the population. Half elves and halflings dotting that as well. Oh, so Chris, Matt, Rick's gone. Chris or Matt, you guys have anything to add?
So I forgot the details that like the Motion Ocean and the borders are generally unexplored, or no one's ever been across them. So I may need to revisit some of the background for my character and figure out here.
Yeah, and Chris, I've read your background. I'm totally cool with it. So it might be one of those things where people don't really believe that you're from a far off land. They might think you're a complete windbag.
Gotcha.
But there are certainly people that have traversed either the ocean or the swamps or the desert or the mountains. But in general, people perceive that as being completely impassable. So Maggie, the technology level that we're looking at here is somewhere between Middle Ages and Renaissance, where we might have very crude printing presses, very crude guns, but in general, no major technology.
Okay.
Are they fart guns?
Fart guns.
Is that why they're crude?
Oh man. Oh geez. My connection is unstable. I think I'm gonna disconnect here. Oh no.
Roll it back.
Roll it back.
Sorry.
Oh, and Mike, to answer your question, that's exactly what I was going to mention. Is just to kind of set that kind of idea of the valley is, yeah, just the technology level. So other than that, no, I feel like you covered all of that well.
Cool. So it's a very much undeveloped setting, and part of the reason I left it pretty undeveloped is I want to develop during the game a lot of the details that make up the world, and that's going to rely partially on me, and as we were mentioning earlier, partially on you guys as players. I want to give you guys the agency to be active participants in the world building process. So many motivations there. One being lazy. I'm lazy. Two, I want to get you guys involved and invested. And C, hopefully getting a taste of world building and things like that might get you interested in running games eventually. So, or get you at least comfortable with running. I would love to play a game someday. Thank you, Rick, for letting me play last week. That was fun.
If you ever want to play on Tuesdays, just let me know.
That might actually happen. I don't know, because my current Savage Worlds game is set to wrap up in one session, and then I don't know what is going on with my current group. So it might end up that I don't have a Tuesday night game anymore.
Cool.
I'll let you know.
Whatever. Even if you want to just come for a one shot, that'd be fine too. Like, we'd always use bad guys, or people that you find on the side of the street,
bad
and
guys.
Guys that they rescue.
If there's one thing I'm good at, it's playing NPCs, because I'm not afraid to do stupid voices.
Have any of you guys watched any of Dan Harmon's Harmon Quest?
The whole thing.
No.
Go check that out, Maggie, if you want to see some interesting stuff. Like, as far as D&D though, their DM does all the rolls basically and calculations, it seems, most of the time. But the bottom line with that is, I love the idea of, like, if we just happen to have a week where, like, somebody you knew wanted to be a part of the game that week and just try it out, you could make an NPC that could literally be here and be gone before the session's over, just because you can. And I love that they did that every episode, that they had some celebrity on who would be a character, and by the end of that, session was dead. So
Yeah, dead or double crossed or something.
yeah, right. Always either dead or an asshole, or
Yeah.
eventually a dead asshole.
Most of the time, a dead asshole, right?
Yeah. That was pretty common.
Okay, I will definitely check that out. Is it?
Yeah, it's a CISO show, so you either
First
have
episode's
to,
free, at least.
yeah, you either have to subscribe to CISO or pirate it. And I'm not condoning pirating any material, but the Pirate Bay is an excellent site to get torrents.
Got it.
If you're looking for all free, all available material, Acquisitions Incorporated is a good stream as well. Chris Perkins who Chris Perkins is the story editor for Dungeons and Dragons on the corporate level, and he runs a game for Patrick Rothfuss, who's the New York Times bestselling author.
I know who Patrick Rothfuss is.
Scott Kurtz, who's a webcomic, and
Jim Dark Magic.
and the two guys from Penny Arcade.
Nice. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
See, I always, if I'm checking out something other than like Dan Harmon, it's usually Matt Mercer and his crew.
Yeah, I don't care for that game, but that's mostly because I don't care for how Matt Mercer does like everything. But that's
Yeah, very true.
just like I haven't given it a second shot yet. So, but anyway, Acquisitions Incorporated is a really fun time if you like to if you want to see professionals playing D&D.
Okay, I'll check that one out. I do know the Matt Mercer game. I've watched some of that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so Matt Mercer does Critical Role, and then he does Force Grey, which is
I've watched both of those actually.
Yeah, so I was actually just watching Force Grey today. I like that setup where they're just like relaxing on a couch and they're not all huddled around the table. I'd like to experiment with that someday. I
That would be cool.
feel like everyone was more
Around the
comfortable.
table.
Oh, so do I. I like to huddle around a table.
Well, hi, Rick. I feel like you're here on my coffee table right now.
Around a table. Okay, so Maggie,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to name the swamp to the east of Auchendale?
Oh my God! You want me to name a thing?
I want you to name a thing.
Great, cool. I didn't know I was going to be put on the spot like that. I don't know.
Anything.
That's how we
Literally.
got Motion Ocean, Maggie. That was one of our people who's not here to accept blame.
Motion Ocean. I'm looking at my dog. Her name's Pop Tart.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, that's her name. Let's see. Name a swamp. Trying to think. Oh, can we just name it like Asbury? Because I used to live in this house off Asbury Street in Indy that was a swamp. It was garbage. It was complete trash.
Asbury. I like it. Yeah. That's great.
It'll make me laugh every time.
All right. Well, you are now hugged by the Motion Ocean and the Asbury Swamp.
Nice.
Sweet.
Is the Asbury
so-
swamp full of Pop-Tarts?
Well, there was a Pop-Tart that lived in it once, and she was surrounded by mice and overflowing sewage, which made it a swamp.
That's a bad scene.
It was really bad. And then when I moved, the moving guy said, "My cousin once shot this house up. You guys shouldn't live here." I said, "Well, we're moving."
Moving out.
All right. So for that bit of brilliance there, we're going to give you what's called inspiration
Oh, okay. Cool.
for when we start the game. Are you familiar with inspiration?
I'm familiar with the concept.
Okay, so in D&D 5e, there's a thing called inspiration, which is a point that you can spend to basically re-roll your roll for skill checks. So
Oh, okay.
it technically gives you advantage, and when you roll advantage, you're rolling 2d20,
Mhm.
and you're keeping the highest.
Okay.
Conversely, there's disadvantage where you roll 2d20 and keep the lowest.
Okay.
But if you spend your inspiration, you basically get to roll with advantage, which is always good.
Okay.
So yeah, little treat for being put on the spot there.
Awesome.
So I know that's a very very brief overview of the setting. Do you have any questions? Or does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do. If you don't, Maggie.
I don't.
The
Go.
fishing village on the west coast, is that Hull Cove or Hall Cove?
Hull, Hull Cove,
Thank you.
which is where you sailed out of, correct?
Yes.
From your
Because
fishing boat.
Windermere does not look like a port.
No.
So that
Is
was
Hull?
the port.
Yeah. How big is Hull Cove? Like population wise?
Hull Cove is probably about 1,500 people. So it's significantly bigger than Doncaster, but very small compared to Windermere, which has, upwards of, 15, 20,000, 30,000 people. It's a very big city when you're talking about feudal times. Which actually is leads me to another point here. This is kind of a feudal region where there are lords and dukes and regents and things like that rule their specific regions. There's no actual king or queen of Auchendale, although it is often considered that the Lord of Windermere is the ultimate authority of Auchendale, although that really holds no significance legally or otherwise. It's generally just that he's the lord of the largest city in the region.
Is he referred to as Lord Windermere?
He's not. What's
Okay.
he known as?
That would help if I looked at the wiki.
I don't think it's out there.
Oh, it's not?
I'm asking you.
You're asking me?
I'm asking
Okay.
you.
Um. Hmm.
So a little background about Windermere. It's many, 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 many hundreds of years old. Well, probably over 1,000 years old. So it's been around for quite a while.
Okay. Do you want a title or his name?
Title and name.
Okay. Let's go Lucius. Lucius Armstrong,
Lucius Armstrong.
the Viscount of Windermere.
Very cool. So Lucius Armstrong, Viscount Lucius Armstrong, is widely considered the top authority in Auchendale, but he's not.
Isn't he kind of a dickhead?
He's very much a dickhead. He has quite the reputation for having a lavish lifestyle and many women as the harem, you would say.
That doesn't necessarily make him a dickhead. I mean, if there are starving kids in the street, then, dickhead. but
There are
Okay.
many starving kids in the streets of
Okay.
Windermere.
then fuck him.
Yeah. Look at that. We're building a world already.
I had a geography question I just remembered when when I was making my character. Is there a river or pond or creek or lake or anything like that in Doncaster or passing through Doncaster?
There's not, but about 50 miles south is the Dunmead River, and 50 miles to the northeast is Lake of Mist. Other than that, it's a landlocked city that sits on a main trade route known as the Heroes Road.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there's little creeks where you can go find crawfish and stuff.
Yeah, there's little tributaries, but nothing.
Nothing you could go fishing in?
You could get some freshwater fish probably.
Okay. Good enough.
Come on back behind Ma Kravitz' house. You can get you some fish. Get your little cane pole and a hook. Couple worms.
Okay, cool. Anything else, guys? All right. I will take that as a resounding no.
We're
All
excited
right.
to go exploring.
Yes. Me too. We are now on to game resources. So a couple of these we are using right now. We've got Google Hangouts, which is our voice and video that allows us to communicate while we game. And then Roll20, which is actually our virtual tabletop that we will use to represent our dice, our characters, and all that good stuff. So, I take it you've never used Roll20, Maggie.
I have never used Roll20.
So it has a slight learning curve. It's not too bad.
Okay.
A lot of the legwork is taken out by the D&D system reference documents that are built in to the compendium. So what's really, really awesome is that you don't really even need the D&D Player's Handbook when you're playing in Roll20, because most of the stuff for character creation and miscellaneous rules are held directly within Roll20 for free. So what's even cooler is it's a very much drag and drop situation where if you find a longsword, you can drag that longsword into your inventory. It adds it to it, calculates the weight, adds it to your attacks, automatically calculates all your modifiers and all that fun stuff. So a lot of the technical mathy type stuff that comes along with creating a character is taken care of for you, which as a new player can be very helpful.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I won't spend a whole lot of time going through Roll20 right now. I feel like we can kind of cover that once we actually get down to building your character.
Okay.
So we will move on. I am using a site called Obsidian Portal that is going to act as our campaign overview and wiki. I've added a whole lot of stuff there so far, and I can share with you.
Who is Quay?
Quay is Kazak's Pale Raven familiar. So that's Alex's familiar. It's a white raven.
That means winter has come.
This is not Game of Thrones.
That's fair.
All right, I am going to share Obsidian Portal on the Google Hangout. You should be able to see it now.
Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a website where we have all of our characters. So you can see here the player characters, everyone that has made their character so far, and you're a faceless, nameless person right now.
Sad.
But you will, I think you'll need to join the group, so you may have to create a sign-in for Obsidian Portal, and then favorite it, which if you go to the home page, you can actually click here where it says you're a fan. On mine, it says become a fan. That'll notify me that you have liked the page, and then I can actually add you as a player. And at that point, you will be given access to edit your character, add background and a picture and all that fun stuff. The other place that you'll be able to edit is the adventure log. So after a session, I highly encourage everyone to maybe write up a quick overview or real quick synopsis of your thoughts of the session or your character's thoughts of the session, so we can kind of keep track of what's happened during the campaign. This might also be a good place to put in your abstract notes, and I will tell you a little bit about abstract later in the house rules session, but it's basically a debrief of the session with a few prompts to help you think. There's a wiki where I have now added a few other things. We've got locations, organizations, events, gods in Auchendale, a calendar, and then house rules written out in general. So if you guys haven't checked out the wiki recently, there's a lot of extra stuff that I've added that you may find interesting. There's also a forum where there is some special stuff. But this is basically just kind of where our campaign will live while we are not playing. Feel free to use it as you see fit. Any questions about that?
I don't think so.
What am I looking for? Okay, cool. I will stop screen sharing. Go back to my face. Let's see. Go back to that. There we go. Okay, so those are our game resources. pretty self-explanatory stuff. And we will move into house rules, which probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you, Maggie, because you've not played D&D before, so all this will feel just like it'll all feel brand new.
Okay.
So typically in D&D 5e, you have a few options when you are rolling your stats, which is basically, you know, your strength and intelligence, things like that. When you create a character, you either have a system where you have points and you spend them to buy your stats, or you have a default amount that you assign out, or you roll dice to figure it out. And because it's D&D, I like to roll that stuff out. It just seems like the right thing to do.
Okay.
But a lot of times when you roll your stats using dice, you can get stuck with really, really, really crappy numbers. So one of the house rules I have is you roll 2 sets of stats, and then you keep one of them. And what is really nice about this whole thing is that Roll20 will automatically do that all for you.
Oh.
So if you, if on Roll20, go to the top right corner, there's a little icon that looks like 3 eyes laying on their sides. And hover over it, says collection.
Yep.
Click on that, and right below it should say macros. About halfway down the page, there is a section or a little item that says stat rolls.
Yeah.
Click the box next to in bar. There is a box that says show macro quick bar, and you'll click that. And now if you look at the bottom left hand corner of your screen, there should be a little button that says stat rolls.
Yeah.
So when you click that, what that's going to do, and if you look at the chat screen of Roll20, it'll also throw a bunch of data out there that's of stats for you. And you'll look at those and decide which one you like the best. If both of them suck, we can discuss, but hopefully they don't suck too bad.
Okay.
And we can do that when we create characters. So
You got a nice
that,
set.
yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. 3 15s and a
I say
7.
315 is good.
Say no trouble running around with a 7 in your wisdom or your intelligence or your charisma.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Depends on what you're playing.
Right, but you've only got 1 7, so
Yeah, that's really not bad. So that's how we're gonna be rolling our stats. When we level, as in advancing our characters, making them more badass, we will be using the milestone method instead of tracking XP, much to Ryan's dismay. Basically, what this means is that every 1.5 sessions, you will gain a level,
Okay.
or you'll gain 2 levels every 3 sessions. Is really what it boils down to.
Got it.
And the reason I do this is a lot of times when you do leveling by XP, it really encourages the murder hobo aspect of playing a game where you go and kill and kill and kill and kill and never really advance the story. because all you want to do is kill. So this way, we want to go by plot points and major milestones in the story, and when you reach those, you level.
But I like killing stuff.
You're still gonna kill stuff, man. Or you'll get killed. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay, so there is something that I am implementing from my work in progress game system. Actually, a couple things that I am shamelessly forcing onto you guys to play test for me.
Fair.
So one of those is the abstract that I mentioned earlier. I will show this to you guys here. But basically, it is a quick prompt for you guys to look at after a session and write down your thoughts to these. This is by no means necessary. I do think it is beneficial to at least think about this stuff after a session, so you know sort of you have time to reflect on what happened. So I will read these and kind of elaborate as I think is necessary. Really quickly, anytime you see subject, that is just nomenclature from my system. Replace it with player character or whatever you wanted here instead of subject. But so what was the most memorable thing my character did this session? What was the most memorable thing another subject did this session? These are things that are good to think about, because a lot of times when we're gaming, we don't really know the things that really worked well for yourself and others. You just kind of go on and do what you will, never giving a thought to what is really fun for everyone to experience. So those couple things are just kind of good for you and good for others to think about. So the one thing that would set my story back the most at this point is, and that is sort of something for me to go on to maybe create complications for you on a personal level, to add some tension and trouble. Not trying to be a dick DM, but trying to keep things interesting for your character's story. Another one that's just kind of good for you to think about is in what way did my subject grow this session? What did I learn about the world around my character this session? And who does my character trust the most at this point? And who do they trust the least? So it's all things to just kind of think about. Put yourself in your character's shoes. So you're not sitting there as Maggie necessarily looking at this. You're looking at this as your character, and it hopefully helps you, have a little empathy for your fictional embodiment of your character. And then what's next for my character, which is another prompt for me as a DM. What do you want to see happen for your character? And I can try to make that happen as best as I can. Obviously thinking about, fitting that in with the overarching plot and other players' own stories. But it's all good information for me as a DM to have, and you as a player. So this would be something you do sometime between sessions. It shouldn't take too long to do. Just write out your answers, send them to me in one of the many forms of communication that we have, or put
Okay.
it in the adventure log. And then at the beginning of each session, we'll all share whatever we want to out of this. So you don't have to share everything. If there's some stuff that you want to keep to yourself, that's great. But one of the things that I think is great to share is what was the most memorable thing another character did this session, because that helps all of us know what we're doing well that we may not automatically know sitting here in our closets.
Right.
Because you're all in closets too, right?
Totally in a closet right now.
I'm on my couch. I don't know what you guys are doing.
You have a couch in your closet?
Big fucking closet.
Weird, man.
Okay, so piggybacking on that thought, and this is a touchy-feely, lovey-dovey type thing, but deal with it. I like to end every session with gratitude. So a lot of times, like I said, we don't know the cool things we did, and a lot of times we have anxieties about doing this thing that can a lot of times feel uncomfortable, playing a character, doing funny voices, or whatever it might be. This can a lot of times be an uncomfortable situation for people. So I like to end every session with a round of gratitude where each person goes around the table, or the virtual table in this case, and thanks one person for something they did during the session. It could be a funny moment. It could have just been their general performance through the night, a certain situation that they kind of architected, or really anything. I think it just helps promote a safe space again that we're all comfortable in, and everyone likes a little bit of gratitude. So,
Awesome.
on to the biggest piece of house rules. This is another mechanic that I am having you guys play test for me. And this is the queue system. I'm going to read the text here because it's the most efficient way of doing it. And then we can discuss it further if you have any questions. But built into every session are queues, which serve to bring life to the people, places, and things of the world. Anytime a player is called to make a roll of any kind, they are given the chance to introduce a cue. When a player chooses to introduce a cue, before the roll is made, the action pauses for the player to describe something they know, someone they've met, a rumor they've heard, or any other cue they have prepared. The player then expands on the cue to make it relate to the current situation. This can be as simple as or elaborate as the player wants it to be. Once the cue has been introduced, or once the cue has been used, that cue type cannot be used for the rest of the session, and the player will need to come up with a new one before the next session in order to use it again. Any roll where a cue is introduced is done with advantage, so that is kind of your motivation for using these, because it lets you roll 2 dice. So once introduced, a cue becomes part of the story. The DM and players can now use them freely in their own stories and cues. and they effectively become canonical. So at their core, they should be broad enough to be applied to a multitude of situations, while at the same time be specific enough to have committed themselves to the PC's memory. This can be tricky to accomplish, but I have a few guidelines that I've come up with to make it easier, more effective. So I've got these guidelines here, as well as a random cue generator that I posted up to the Facebook group, and then also did not add to the game. Bummer. Anyway, I can add that later. So think about what your character is good at and what led them to be good at that thing. Consider past events that may have caused your character to change the way they view the world. Who might have left a lasting impact on the character and why? What makes this cue particularly memorable for the PC? Where has the character lived, visited, or dreamed about visiting? So I will share with you the cue types. So there are 3 types of cues, and you get one of each. There's a person, a place, and a thing. Cues are short, broad statements prepared by players in advance of the session that are used when introducing variable. More nomenclature from a different system, but that's okay. Each player has 3 cue slots available per session. Person, place, and thing. One of each, meaning that a character can introduce up to 3 variables or cues per session. So, for example, a person cue is someone the PC grew up with, heard a rumor about, met in a chance encounter. For example, I went to school with a girl named Villa, who taught me many valuable lessons about trickery. So you write that down on your cues, which I can show you in just a second where you can put those. And then anytime you're faced with a situation where you think that cue might help you, you would introduce your cue. So, for example, your character is walking down a dark, dank hallway, and you are met with a heavy wooden door locked. And you're not necessarily good at picking locks, but you could introduce a cue and say, hey, I went to school with this girl named Villa, and she taught me about picking locks, something along those lines, and then expand on it. And she said, just take a dagger and jam it in there, twist it. That'll work, right?
Well, if you heat it up first.
Yeah. So, and I posted that example, or a similar example, up on Facebook. So these are meant to help you, for one, accomplish things, and 2, build the world. So for that person one, we know now, once that's introduced, that there's a girl named Villa out there who you went to school with, and it might be something that I use later on as an NPC that you guys meet somewhere, or you could use the rest of your cues to hash that out if you really wanted this girl named Villa to be an integral part of your character. You could have, I went to school with a girl named Villa who taught me many valuable lessons about trickery, for your person. And then for place, you could say, I heard that Villa was living in monastery up in the Dewhurst Mountains. And thing, you could say, I've been holding on to this note that I wrote Villa for ages. Things like that. So you can chain them together and use them to really drive a personal story that you really want to see happen. You can also use other people's cues. So if someone used something in a previous session and you wanted to build off that, you could write a new cue that builds off of that. It's probably a little bit of a foreign concept to someone that hasn't really played any role-playing games, although it's probably a foreign concept to people
Even
that
if you have played role playing games before.
Yeah.
have, right? And it will probably feel a little unwieldy the first couple times you do it. But don't be afraid to just like put things out there, and be liberal with your creativity in these, because they're going to be a big part in building the world that we live in. They can be as short or as long as you want. I've noticed that the folks that have written their cues so far have gone the longer route. But they can be as short as one sentence, like my examples are. And if you think about it, the shorter they are, the more flexible they are, the easier they will be to kind of fit to any situation. But then you have to improv to get it to really fit into the situation and build it out. Whereas if you write 2 or 3 sentences about it, a paragraph, you've got that idea hashed out. It's going to be a little harder to implement in the middle of a story and find the right situation to use it. But once you do that, you have that really well thought out idea that you can get into the story. So I'm in how you guys use it. And I'm glad that at least so far everyone seems to be on board with it. Does that make any sense to you, Maggie?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. We'll see what I come up with, but it makes sense.
Cool. All right. We're making good time. I think we were at 2 hours last time at this point.
Okay.
So open it up for questions.
I'm really
I know.
excited about the cues.
Yeah, ditto.
Me too. Okay, so at this point we are at character creation step, where we will build your character, Maggie. Everyone else here has a character that we built last week. It may be helpful for you guys to describe the characters that you've built, to give a little background for Maggie to think about. I will kick things off and give the sort of guidelines in terms of creating a character. We are not playing evil characters this campaign, so we're all going to be either good or neutral. We're not going to be a bunch of dicks running around murdering babies.
Right.
We will all be level 1, so we're all fairly inexperienced when it comes to adventuring. We are, probably a little more adept than your average farmer, but certainly we're not big heroes in the realm. And finally, the one stipulation really that I have is that all the characters will have some tie to the Doncaster Adventurers Guild post 132. The Adventurers Guild is a loosely affiliated organization of, as the name would imply, adventurers.
Wait. I thought we were all blacksmiths.
You missed a lot, man.
Shit.
No, so the Adventurers Guild more or less are mercenaries that are hired to do the deeds that people need done. The blacksmith's daughter has gone missing, or the goblins have been raiding, and we need someone to take them out. And by God, the town guard will not take care of it because they're lazy. That is the niche that the Adventurers Guild falls in, and that is the guild that our characters all belong to. The guild itself is run by a very famous, very heroic, and revered adventurer by the name of Tyrianus Extocles, and she is, by all regards, an amazing woman that everyone respects. She lives in Windermere and runs the Adventurers Guild from there. And then most cities in the Valley of Auchendale have a post run by a quartermaster, and the Doncaster Adventurers Guild is run by an Eileen Allen, who is a very open-minded, caring, and generally soft-hearted woman who is more accepting than the general population. Although she is still very much a force to be reckoned with. She's very tough. She's a great fighter, a great adventurer. But she does have a reputation for being a softie, and that reputation does lead some people to assume that she does not have what it takes to run an Adventurers Guild post. However, the people within Post 132 generally respect her very much because she gives chances to people that wouldn't normally be given chances. So that leads me to open it up to our party of misfit adventurers. So Chris, if you could give us a quick introduction of Gale of Wind.
Sure. Let's see here. So, Gale of Wind is of the Tabaxi race, which is very rare and not actually from Auchendale. But as is typical for the race, he's obsessively curious about all sorts of things, and it can from after every few days or so, his interests may change onto something new. He may fixate on something new, but because of this, traditionally the Tabaxi live their lives in their clans, and they're very tight knit. But every so often, there's one that is struck with this wanderlust, and so he essentially had no choice as a person. In order to live a full life, he had to start going in to explore. So, the best way to honor his clan then would be to spend his life going out and seeking out as much knowledge, stories, and just experience as much as he can. And then when he gets to old age, then to return and bring those experiences back to his people. When he arrives, his time in Auchendale, it's a place where most people have probably, until they see this guy, they've never seen a tabaxi. So, and I mean, he's curious about everything, and he's been connected to this particular post of the Adventurers Guild because of the quartermaster there, who is more open-minded and interested in helping the outcasts. So, able to find kind of a home base here in Doncaster, and also a place because of its location as a crossroads. Likely to encounter all sorts of people traveling back and forth, in a place where you can hear rumors and learn new things, to fulfill that curiosity.
Yeah, and if it wasn't immediately clear, the tabaxi are humanoid bipedal cats. So
Oh.
they're yeah. So if you're familiar with Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, or anything like that, they're the Khajiit.
Okay.
So yeah, they're big cat people.
Not like they like cats, like they actually are.
They're giant cats.
They're giant cat people that walk on 2 feet.
Got it. That is awesome.
I in fact have a lovely golden brown fur and jaguar spots.
That's great.
Something I added to my character description that you can see on the Obsidian portal. I had the realization today. I remembered that my way of introducing myself or welcoming the strangers that I meet at the Adventurers Guild or at the tavern would be to present you with a fish, in the hopes that we could maybe exchange stories and I could learn a little bit about you.
Dude, we're not friends. We're so
Nice.
not friends.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great.
Oh wow.
That was my concern with if there was a body of water in Doncaster.
There might be someone in the party that can't stand fish.
That's wow. That's like my cat when I was a kid, leaving dead bunnies on the front porch, thinking that it was nice. It was not nice. Got it.
Do we go next?
Cool. Yeah, you go next.
All right. So, my character's name is Marcus, and he is a half-elf bard. Marcus and another one of our player characters are brothers. Razan the Red is a half-elven fighter, and they grew up together in Doncaster on the coattails of Eileen Elen. Eileen actually got me my first job when I turned 17. She wrote me a letter of recommendation to a boat captain in Hull Cove. And I've spent the last 10 years working in the port and mostly on a fishing boat. I went out there to sort of learn my way in the world and seek my fortune, and recently just sort of discovered that there was a magic within me. I'm playing a bard who plays the panpipes. So if you're not familiar with panpipes, it's basically a row of hollow sticks that you play like a harmonica.
Mm-hmm.
I took the sailor background, so he's half elven and a sailor, and also a bard. So Marcus loves to tell stories and loves to sing happy songs. And one of the things that he brought back from his days on the Motion Ocean was a severe distaste for fish. I can't stand fish.
I love it. Oh, geez.
Okay.
Yeah, being an entertainer runs in the family. Red, who is run by Shane, who's not here today, is is Marcus's brother, and he is really on a quest for fame. He's a fighter, but he's all about telling stories and boasting about that. Um, that's my general impression of what Rezon is all about. And Matt.
All right, cool. So my character's name is Dekath Genin. Basically, as far as any sort of background, I didn't even go into it very much for his origins, because he's a Furbolg. It's basically a race of big-ass people. He's 7'8" and like 350 pounds. He's 132 years old, and that's considered young by that race, so he's still got hundreds of years left in him. And he's just this big, blue-gray skinned, muscular kind of like... But he's the most easygoing, nice guy around. He's a druid, so he's really in touch with nature. As far as his background in a nutshell, since I wrote a bit for it, the bottom line is he was raised by elves in the forest to the south of Doncaster. Eventually, he decided that he wanted to do something more than just live in the forest. He knew there was more to the world than that. He ended up exploring out. Doncaster was the best place it seemed like to go from what he had heard. And upon getting there, he had met the quartermaster, who, as Mike established there, is kind of a collector of misfits, so to speak. So upon meeting her, he worked there for a good couple of years as far as like stock boy kind of stuff, more or less. And eventually, in only the recent few years, he's actually started to go on kind of some minimal adventures and stuff like that. But he's kind of like that person when you go and you start a job somewhere who's been there for a long time and kind of knows how it goes, has seen people come and go. That's kind of the experience he's had. He's been around the post for easily 15 to 20 years at this point, considering he left the forest in his early hundreds. So he's seen a lot of people come and go. That's part of some of his cues and whatnot. People he's mission and never return. And he's really been enjoying seeing a lot of these other misfits join the post. So it's not quite just him, this almost 8-foot person who's almost always looked at like, holy shit. Now he's seeing birds and cats and all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of nice that the quartermaster is, as I said, kind of like that collector of unique people, because it's going to make for a very interesting post of the Adventurers Guild for us.
Okay.
And so a couple other people that have not joined us tonight. Alex's character is Kazak, I believe. And Alex will actually be able to exclaim his name a little better.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so his character is Ku, which is a bird person. They are basically a cursed race of birds without flight, and they're typically held in servitude to some magical being. They don't have voices of their own. So when they speak in imitation of sounds and voices that they've heard. Alex's character, the name is actually kind of onomatopoeia. So it's like, Kazak! Or something along those lines. But much in the vein of the other adventurers in this post, typical outcast. No one trusts Kenkus. No one really wants them around. But Eileen Allen has brought in Kazak to the post, and he is a warlock, so he's a magic user and has an otherworldly patron that he serves to get his magical powers. And Ryan's character is Riley Yuzuka, who is an Aura, which is a desert race. So they're the race from the Ghostwood Desert, and they're kind of dragon-like people. So they have horns and tails, but they're not super scaly like a dragonborn might be. But they come from kind of nomadic tribes that somehow survive out in the inhospitable deserts. And most people, if you were to ask them, don't really believe that race actually exists. If they were to see someone like Riley, they would assume it was a dragonborn half-breed of some kind. People don't really have any knowledge of the desert that reside from there. So that kind of gives you an idea of the adventuring party and adventuring post that you will be creating your character in. It is a bunch of misfits. But aside from Marcus and Razan, who are half-elves, everyone else is more or less a monster. At least that's how the outside world would view them. They see these monstrous races, and they're uncomfortable around them. Although there are open-minded people out there that give them the time of day.
But I've got pointy ears.
So, yeah, it's sort of pointy. They're not as pointy as an elf.
Mine are a little pointy. It's just, I'm a goddamn walking tree almost.
It's true. Nobody probably messes with you because you're huge.
Yeah, I don't imagine my character gets much, like as far as a lot of people trying to give him a hard time. Plus, he's just such an easygoing druid that it's like, I was even looking at the origin of the species kind of thing. Is it's like, unless it's a last ditch effort, I'm gonna try to basically talk myself out of a battle. Not like charisma wise. It's just like, why do we got to fight, man? Like, what's your goal? Oh, that's your goal. Well, here's some gold if that's what you're looking to do. Like if you're a bandit. I would literally go to blows if necessary. So it'll be nice to be with a party who hopefully will kind of be like, oh, no, we got to fight. We're not going to stand here and try to learn all about these people. So it'll put him in some weird situations, I'm sure.
So, Maggie, that gives you an idea of who you're going to be playing this game with. I think a good question to ask here is, since you've never really played D&D, when you've seen yourself or thought of yourself playing this game, what did you see yourself playing as?
I mean, I was kind of thinking half elf as well.
Excellent. So, half elf is a good race. What about in terms of what you want your character to be good at? Do you know much about the classes in D&D?
I know a little bit about them, but not a ton.
So explain to me kind of a concept that you have when you think about yourself playing D&D. What do you want your character to be good at?
I know I would like to be a magic user of some kind.
Okay.
Outside of that, I don't really. I, for some reason, don't really see my character as being overly charismatic. Probably just because I'm not very charismatic. But other than that, I don't have anything like really specific that I have to have,
Okay. So there's a lot of options in terms of magic users, and many different ways that you can take this. So you've got clerics who are more or less divinely connected to a god, and they espouse their their beliefs and use their beliefs to channel magical properties. And a cleric is not always necessarily a healer. They can do many different things, although that is the stereotypical cleric.
The battle clerics in 5e can be pretty badass.
Yeah, so that's one thing about clerics. They do a little bit of magic, and then they can also do a little bit of face smashing too,
Well, that would be cool.
which is always fun. Then there is the warlock. As I mentioned before, we have a warlock, and they have a limited selection of magical abilities by tapping into an otherworldly patron, such as a Cthulhu-esque deity or the what is it? The Archfey.
One of the kings or queens of fairy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they basically have a pact with this deity, and they use their relationship with this deity to bring magic into the world. Then there's sorcerers who, if I'm trying to think, they can see if there's an actual description. I have a hard time saying the difference between a sorcerer and a wizard.
So here's a.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same.
The sorcerer just knows, like the magic is in their blood.
That's right.
And
Yes.
The sorcerer has all of the spells, like based on like just inherent ability. The wizard,
And a wizard is learned.
right? The wizard
They're
does
studied.
study. Right. The wizard has to learn the spells, spend the time, do the work. Right. If you were thinking about people you knew in high school, the wizard is the kid who studied and studied and studied and maybe got a C in algebra, but got an A in calculus. The sorcerer is the one who got B's in all of them and never really had to study. And the warlock is the one who blows the teacher to get an A.
Okay, I like it.
So those are your main magic user archetypes.
Bard's a magic
They're magic users. Not your as you would think a standard magic user is. They move into my non-standard magic user world. There's bards and druids, and rangers kind of fit into that too, where so bards use music and performance to channel their magical abilities. Druids use nature. They're very very in tune with nature and are able to commune and control nature in a way. And rangers, much like the cleric, have access to magical abilities, but they're also able to put the hurtin' with bows and swords. So
Okay.
almost every class has some sort of magic, but wizards, warlocks, sorcerers, clerics, druids, bards, yeah, they're all magic users.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking I like the sound of the cleric.
Cool.
That's cool.
Who do you want your god to be?
I have no idea.
All right, so
In real life or the game.
so with clerics, you channel your god to basically create your your magical ability, and depending on the god that you have will determine the direction that you take of magic. So if you worship a god of life, you are going to have spells that generally are helpful to people, healing, protection, things like that. Whereas if you worship a god of death, you are going to more or less be a necromancer, and
Creepy.
use death as a way to get what you want, more or less. So I can show you a list of our gods. Let me share here.
Yeah, with
Here's our
clerics, you choose
deities.
your divine domain at first level, and you can choose from knowledge, life, light, nature, tempest, trickery, war, or I'm sorry, war is the last choice.
Okay.
So the knowledge domain value learning and understanding above all. The life domain focuses on vibrant, positive energy, one of the fundamental forces of the universe that sustains all life. The light domain promote the ideals of rebirth and renewal, truth, vigilance, and beauty, often using the symbol of the sun. The nature domain, druids, it says gods of nature. No, let's see. Nature clerics might hunt the evil monstrosities that despoil the woodlands, bless the harvest of the faithful, or wither the crops of those who anger their gods. The Tempest domain says, let's see. Tempest gods send their clerics to inspire fear in the common folk, either to keep those folk on the path of righteousness or to encourage them to offer sacrifices of propitiation to ward off divine wrath. And the Trickery domain, their clerics are a disruptive force in the world, puncturing pride, mocking tyrants, stealing from the rich, freeing captives, and flouting hollow traditions. They prefer subterfuge, pranks, deception, and theft rather than direct confrontation. And then War domain can make heroes of ordinary people, can be desperate and horrific. The gods of war watch over warriors and reward them for their great deeds.
That's a lot to choose from.
It is. It's a ton to choose from. But you don't have to choose right now.
Oh. Huh. I mean, I feel like my character would go more on the light side.
So a little aside, if it makes any difference, the main temple in Doncaster is a temple of Pelor, who is the sun god, who is a god of light and life.
Sure. Okay.
That to Doncaster, at least, there's a fairly big presence of Pelor followers.
Clerics of Pelor are usually healers. Not always, but usually.
Okay. I mean, that sounds good to me. Good healing strength, son. Yeah.
Sweet.
And yeah, we can go with that. And then if your mind changes, it changes, and we'll work with it.
Okay.
So I believe I'm sharing. So I am going to show you your character sheet here. You have a token on the screen. It says Maggie's character. And if you shift double click that token, it will pull up characters page where you'll be able to add a picture, write in a bio, and all that good stuff.
Okay.
And then on the character tab or the character sheet tab, that actually brings up a D&D character sheet where we will actually enter in all of your stuff. So here's your class. We'll say you're a cleric. So it's automatically going to give you your saving throw proficiencies. And then you said half elf. So, to begin with, we will want to look at your half elf race in the player's handbook. I am scrolling through right now. And it's going super slow. I'm doing a million things. Okay, so a half elf gets ability score increase to charisma and 2 other ability scores at 1. So charisma is up by 2 and 2 other are up by 1. So before we get too far, let's roll your stats.
Okay.
So click your little stat roll button.
Clicking.
Boom, there we go. So these you will be able to you basically choose one and then we distribute those across your attributes of strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So a 16 is a good number.
16's good.
10 is an average number. So basically anything under 10 is going to give you a negative modifier.
Okay.
Then anything, let's see. I never remember the actual table itself.
10 and 11 or
so
0.
10 to 11, 0. 12 to 13 is 1. 14 to 15 is 2. 16 to 17, 3. So on and so forth. So this top stat block that you rolled actually has no negatives, which is pretty awesome. and I don't see why you would choose the other one.
Yeah,
Unless you want to
definitely.
make things hard for yourself.
I don't want to do that.
Right. So, a couple things to think about. You've got your racial ability modifiers, and then you also want to think about what's best for being a cleric. And when we look at building a cleric,
Wisdom and Constitution.
We want-
I think.
our wisdom and our constitution
Mhm.
to be the highest. So wisdom is going to be what you use to actually cast your spells. Constitution is going to be basically how tough you are and what kind of hits you can take.
Okay.
So generally, you would want to take your 16s and spread them across
Wisdom and Constitution.
Constitution. And then you get to decide basically how you put your other ones. Maybe strength is 14.
Say strength is what you're going to use to make your attacks. So if you want to do strength is next, that's probably a good idea.
Right. So, typically a cleric is kind of a half magic user, half base smasher. So strength is a good thing to have.
Okay.
And then maybe dexterity. I don't know. And then near enough to make no difference, you've got intelligence and charisma. So intelligence is book smarts type thing, is talking at people and making them bend to your will.
Right.
You ever see the description of the different attributes based on a tomato? I thought that was a pretty good thing online.
No.
Strength is your ability to crush a tomato. Dexterity is your ability to dodge a tomato. Constitution is your ability to add tomato and live to tell. Intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a vegetable, not a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put a tomato into a fruit salad or something like that. And charisma is being able to sell a fruit salad with tomato in it. It was awesome.
Okay.
I'm using it for something I'm presenting at work, and I'm like, I like that. That's a good way to put it.
Nice.
Dexterity may not necessarily be a high choice for skills. Life domain clerics get proficiency with heavy armor, which gives you disadvantage on dex checks, but gives you a high AC. So,
Okay.
high armor.
Basically, you're harder to hit, and you're
not stealthy at all.
You're not stealthy at all. If we have to stealth somewhere, you're going to be the one jingling like pockets are full of scrap metal.
Right.
That sounds good, actually. I mean, not, but that sounds like
clink.
my life. So,
Yeah, so I mean the dexterity, intelligence, and charisma, you can kind of figure out what you want. Keeping in mind that when you are a half elf, you will automatically have a +2 to your charisma. And then you get to increase 2 other attributes by 1.
okay.
So that's kind of where you want to look at the table and be like, all right, what's going to be the best for my modifiers? So
She gets to increase 2 others by 1, but she can't just dump those both into the same stat, right?
correct.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, because you ended up with a lot of even numbers, it basically means, like, the only thing you could tip over and get a higher modifier out of is your intelligence, but it doesn't matter much for you. This might not make a lot of sense now, but I don't know if Rick or Mike would agree. You could probably dump it into the stats you care about, like your constitution or your wisdom. And then when later on down the line you're able to increase yourself a little bit more, it might be easier to up your modifier, if any of that made any sense.
A little.
So basically,
Yeah.
what Matt's trying to. Oh, so go ahead, Mike.
No, I was gonna say, so when you think about adding 1 point to any of these stats, adding a point to strength is going to make it a 15, which keeps your modifier at 2. Adding a point to constitution to 17 is going to keep it at a 3. Same with wisdom. So adding a point to any of those right now isn't going to really benefit you. But once you reach level 4, you get to increase an attribute, at which point you would actually be able to increase that that modifier.
Okay.
And modifiers, if the point has been lost so far, is what you add to your D20 roll. So when you want to sneak somewhere, you'll add your dexterity modifier to your roll.
Maggie doesn't
So-
sneak.
No, she does not. I'm glad Mike's mentioning that point, though, because, yeah, we kept mentioning modifiers, and I just
Yeah.
realized we never really said what that even means.
So if I'm trying to sneak and
Right.
I roll a 7, then it would be an 8.
Correct. But if you're wearing heavy armor, you'd actually roll. Well, here. What's nice is you just click, and it all rolls. You're at disadvantage. You see, I rolled 2 here. Wow, you rolled an 18, which would be
Great.
great, but you're at disadvantage, so you actually have to keep that 8, which is not great.
Yeah, you got to take the lower number because you roll with disadvantage for having heavy armor on. So then with
Got
your
it.
dexterity modifier, it'd be a 9, so it's not the worst thing in the world.
But you get heavy armor, which means you're really hard to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that puts your armor class up like really high. So, yeah, I don't know exactly. Maybe you. I don't know. Maybe you do put your dexterity at 10 and your charisma at 12, and then you add your racial bonus for charisma, which would give you a +2 to charisma. Although I know you said you didn't really want to play anyone charismatic. Charisma can still come in handy.
Yeah.
With intimidation. It's not necessarily being a charismatic person, but you get to add your charisma to intimidate
Yeah.
people.
And you use it for like
Or
performance,
deceiving people.
persuasion, and deception. Yeah, like, and you got to keep in mind too, which drives me nuts in my current campaign, but that's a whole different story. 10 is average.
Right.
You know, like in that, because you see that big 0, or for that matter, even if you were like a 8 or something like that, and you saw -1, it doesn't mean that you're some brooding, resting bitch face, you know, that type of like you roll into a place and everybody's like, I don't want to have anything to do with this person. It just means you probably aren't as eloquent as your average Joe. It's not like you're sitting there at a -5, which would mean you're probably barely capable of talking. You're probably more like Kazik, you know?
Right.
He would almost be a -5 if he had to have his own voice, but he found his own way.
Got it. Okay.
So then
So,
you just decide you add one of your +1s to intelligence to bring that up 1, and then
mhm.
maybe your wisdom up to a 17, so that when you go to level up, you can do wisdom or strength. I'm not sure. Either strength or wisdom. I'm not sure.
Could do both.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking spending one of them on intelligence just to boost that up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But because I mean, it's 8 levels before you get to increase 2 attributes.
Is 4th level just 1 stat by 2? Or can you do 2 by 1?
I thought you could split it up or put it into 1 or do a feat if we're playing with feats.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's the case.
Yeah.
Anytime you see ability score improvement, I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So 1 ability score by 2,
Or 2 by 1.
or 2 by 1, or feat. So yeah, I mean, you could do strength and wisdom, and then level 4 you could up.
Do strength and wisdom again, and then both the modifiers go up.
Right. Yeah, that's probably how I'd do it.
All right.
So let's go back to half elf and make sure we're getting all of our goodness.
Fey ancestry is pretty cool.
That would be cool.
Don't you half elves also have that ability to like only need a half rest to get a long rest? Like
Nope.
4 hours is enough to get a long rest.
Have to be a full
that-
elf to have that.
I think.
Oh, that's the elf, the full elf. Yeah, I had a character that had that, and I loved it. I was like, yeah, I'll be sentry because I only need to like sleep for 4 hours.
And you don't even need to sleep, you just trance.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I'm like, I'm gonna go in that tree and just like meditate, all Avatar state style. Hell yeah.
Yeah, but you have to be a full elf to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so a half elf. They mature at the same rate as humans, but they can live as old as 180 years.
Okay.
They are typically about the same size as humans, ranging from 5 to 6 feet tall. They are of average speed, so your speed is 30,
Mm-hmm.
which means that you can move 30 feet in a round,
Okay.
more or less. And a round it is an abstracted idea, basically, that accounts for, I think, 6 seconds.
That's what I've always heard, 6 seconds. Ballpark.
So you can move 30 feet in 6 seconds.
Okay.
You have dark vision, which means that you can see in dim light as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light,
Okay.
which is really helpful. And you have Fey Ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep.
Oh, cool.
And you have skill versatility, which means you gain proficiency in 2 skills of your choice. So, what proficiency is depending on your level, you get a proficiency bonus. If you look on your character sheet, you see you have a proficiency bonus of 2. And then after a couple levels, that'll move up to 3, up to 4, so on and so forth. So when you add proficiency, you get to add that to your roll. So, for example, if you wanted to be proficient in history, you check the box there next to history, and you can see it adds a 2 there.
Okay.
Or, for example, insight, you would click that, and it becomes a 5.
Oh.
So you can really stack things. Now, this part you'll want to your choices until we've built you out a little further with your class and background,
Okay.
so you're not overlapping proficiencies. And then you get to speak, read, write Common, Elvish, and 1 extra language. So you have 3 languages that you know fluently. So you've got Common, Elvish, and 1 more language. Is there a particular language that you would like to know?
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
All right, so you've got Giant, Goblin, you've
Draconic,
got Draconic, Undercommon,
Abyssal,
Deep Speech,
Dwarven.
Dwarven,
Sylvan.
Ish. Lol.
What's Sylvan?
Sylvan is the speech of the true Fae. It's different from Elvish because it's spoken by the beings in the realm of fairy.
Oh. I don't know.
I'd say that might be something where you could also consider the world, or if you've already started thinking about your backstory a little bit there, Maggie, because in this area, if the most common other people are humans, elves, and dwarves, Dwarven might make the most sense, but that might just be going too logical when you could be fun and be like, oh yeah, I went and I was an honor student and I learned Sylvan, kind of, I guess, how you start picturing your character being, if you're basing it off of yourself or however.
I mean,
and you don't have to decide right now.
Oh.
I wanted to take Thieves' Cant, but I don't necessarily think that that's a legit choice, so I ended up taking Draconic.
I would find it hilarious if, after all said and done, Maggie decides to pick up Druidic, and I'm the one thinking that nobody understands when I'm scribbling graffiti on a wall, and she's just like, "Why did you just write that?"
See, you have to have a level in Druid to speak Druidic.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, it said any language of her choice,
Right, but Druidic is a secret language. You have to have a level in Druid to speak Druidic.
Oh, well, good. You guys can't see my graffiti. Good.
And Rick, if you wanted Thieves' Cant, I could see it. I mean, you were on a boat. A lot of times, less than scrupulous people are sailors, so they might have taught you Thieves' Cant. Who knows?
If you're
It's
okay
like
with
how
it, I'd
every
love
bit of
to-
Spanish I learned was curse words because of Riata Pass.
Panocha.
Fond memories, Mike.
Oh,
Pinchy Pelo Chino. That's what I remember my name being
man, Luis
still.
Pinche Pelogino.
I was just
We're
thinking
having
like the stevedores and the guys on the boat. you would learn some like the language of the trader, and there isn't really like a trader's argot in D&D. So I was thinking Thieves' Cant would probably be pretty similar to that.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Do it.
Because who speaks Draconic? Seriously, not me. Not anymore.
Nope. Nope, you forgot that.
Well, I never knew it.
So yeah, you can just think about that extra language, and it's not terribly important right now.
Okay.
If as we build this out, you have an aha moment, that's great. So then we'll move on to the actual class itself of cleric. And scrolling through, and we have got the cleric. So you have class features. As a cleric, you gain the following class features. You get a 1d8 per cleric level hit dice, which is basically how many hit points you're going to have.
Okay.
And we can explain hit dice more as they come up. But and if you want to be filling out your character sheet, I'm sorry I'm doing it for you, but
No, I'm totally okay with that.
okay, cool. So hit points at first level, you get 8 plus your Constitution modifier. So 8 plus your 3. And we put that over here, so you start with 11 hit points.
Which, believe it or
Pretty
not, is
beefy.
really good for a level 1 character.
All right. All right.
And then as you gain levels, you can either roll for your new hit points or do the average. At each level, you would roll 1d8 plus your Constitution modifier, and add that too.
Mm.
Or 5 plus your Constitution modifier.
Okay.
Depends on if you're gambling man.
With anything less
I'm
than
a
a
gambling
D12, it just, especially with a Constitution modifier of 3, at least for me, it makes sense because you're taking with a 5 plus 3, and with your Constitution as plus 3, you're taking 8 points
Yeah.
when you just take the average. So I don't know. It makes a lot of sense to just take the average. But that's
I'd
just me.
probably play the safe game there.
So when I played Magic: The Gathering, I had a saying where people would mulligan their hand basically. I never did that because I go raw dog,
Okay.
Okay.
which is why I always roll my hit dice because I raw dog it.
You
Oh.
That's vulgar, I know.
you live dangerously, sir.
Anyway, now that we've gotten filthy,
I'm not sure which is more filthy, the terminology you used or the fact that you always roll hit dice. It's pretty filthy.
all right. So, as a cleric, you are proficient in light, medium, and since you said you were going to be a light cleric, I believe you
Life.
get life. Yeah, life cleric. You get proficiency in heavy armor too, which means that you can basically wear any armor that you want, and be okay with it. And also shields. And then you're proficient with simple weapons, which are like short swords and maces.
Ooh.
Every cleric has to have a mace, in my opinion, but that's
I think
just
the
me.
short sword is a martial weapon.
Short sword?
I'm
No
checking.
way.
I think it is because it's listed as an exception for the monk. It says simple weapons plus short sword.
Short sword is a martial weapon.
Oh, wow. Gosh, then what's considered a simple weapon? A dagger?
Clubs, daggers, great club, hand axe, javelin, light hammer, mace, quarterstaff, sickle, spear, and unarmed strike.
Yeah. Huh.
I mean, I was thinking mace anyway,
Do it.
because that sounds awesome.
All right. We digress. I really should just go grab my book because scrolling through this is horrible. Okay. Anyway. So, that is your proficiency with weapons and armor. You have no tool proficiencies. Your saving throws are charisma and wisdom, which basically means you add your proficiency bonus when you are called to make a saving throw in those. So you have +5 in wisdom and +4 in charisma, which is pretty good.
Awesome.
And then you get to choose 2 more skills to be proficient in. So now you have 4 that you will be able to choose from. And then once we choose your background, that may give you another skill to gain proficiency in.
So I picked 2 skills to be proficient in?
So you have the 2 from being a half elf and then 2 from being a cleric. So you have 4.
Got it.
But the 2 from being
So
a
I just
cleric,
picked 4 of these skills listed.
the
Yes,
2 from being a
so,
cleric have limits.
Really quickly, I can go down the skills and give you a general idea of what they do. So acrobatics is like it says, doing flips and general jumping about.
You're a dick.
Animal handling would be, taming horses and wild beasts, generally being in touch with animals. Arcana is your knowledge of the arcane and magical. Athletics is physical feats of strength, generally. Not so much the agility based, but more strength based.
Mhm.
Physical feats, deception, lying to people, and passing things that might not be 100% true as truth. History, as the name implies, it is your knowledge of history. Insight is basically being able to tell if someone is lying. Among other things, that's the big one, though, is being able to discern someone's true motives and meaning. Intimidation is making people poop their pants. Investigation is looking at a situation and discerning the some important fact about that scene or situation. Medicine is like being able to apply. I always get this confused. Is it being able to understand medicine or being able to apply medicine? I never remember that.
And never one sure it was like using a healing kit.
Right. So it's applying medicine.
It's applied medicine. Yeah, your
Applied
understanding of like the human body and the human being used loosely, but neck bone connected to the head bone sort of
Right.
deal.
Yeah. Nature is your knowledge of nature and being able to really figure out what a plant is, maybe identify floral flowers, things like that. Perception is your general awareness of your surroundings. It's a big one. Performance is being able to entertain and put on a show. Persuasion is convincing someone to buy a fruit salad with tomatoes.
Yep.
Religion is knowledge of all things religious. Sleight of hand would be used for something like pickpocketing or general slyness with your hands. Stealth would be hiding in the shadows or shadowing someone. And then survival would be using what's around you to survive, or slaughtering a deer and taking its meat for
Yeah.
consumption.
Totally.
So
Okay.
those are all the skills.
Mm. I mean, I feel like insight would be a good one for me to be proficient in.
I would agree. So insight's a good one.
And maybe
Um,
perception.
So perception could be one that you could take from your half-elf skill
Mhm.
proficiencies.
Okay.
For your cleric, you've got history, insight, medicine, persuasion, and religion that you can choose from.
I mean, I guess medicine.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah. It seems like religion would be a good one as well, because
Yep, religion would definitely be a good one. And these may change depending on the background that we choose. Your background is basically just another layer of background.
Allow myself to introduce
Myself.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. We will move on from there, and you then get to choose your equipment. So you start with the following equipment. a mace. So we will search for a mace, and then we just drag the mace. First, we have to create a slot for it in your items down here, and then you just drag a mace in there. And then you'll see, once you've added that in your attack area, you've got your mace. And it
Awesome.
automatically calculates all that stuff. So you've got your mace, and when you roll to attack with your mace, it's a +4. And then when you roll for damage, it's 1d6 + 2. So you just click on that, and you see did not roll great.
No.
But assuming that hits, then you just click the mace on where it shows that you rolled, and it rolls your damage, which was good.
Hmm.
And there's Chris. With
I don't know what
Giotto.
I don't know what my dice are doing.
They're doing some damage, it looks like.
Yeah, but my short sword shouldn't be doing d20s.
We have to roll to hit. So
Yeah, so that's your roll to hit, and then your damage is actually click where it says Ninjato.
Oh, on the side?
chat, yeah, on the chat screen.
Oh, okay. So
And
how do I roll
that's
only
your
one
damage.
die?
So if you go to your character sheet and click the little gear,
Yeah.
you have here where it says roll queries. It defaults to always roll advantage. Click to advantage toggle.
Hmm.
And now you have a toggle. Normal will just roll 1. Advantage will roll 2. Disadvantage. I'm getting all of your bad rolls out of the way, Maggie.
Good.
Okay, so from here, you start with either scale mail, leather armor, or chainmail, if proficient. And since you are a life cleric, you would have proficiency in chainmail.
Cool.
So you just search for chainmail. You add that, and you drag it in, and it's heavy. But you see it sets your armor class here to 16, which is
Tough.
nothing to shake a stick at. And then you get to choose a light crossbow and 20 bolts, or any simple weapon. So you can get a crossbow or any of those simple weapons we talked about earlier.
Oh, I definitely want a crossbow.
So like that. Add your bolts. 20 of those. Either get a priest's pack or an explorer's pack. And Oops. So, priest pack includes a backpack, a blanket, 10 candles, a tinderbox, an alms box, 2 blocks of incense, a censer, vestments, 2 days of rations, and a water skin.
Totally.
Or an explorer's pack, a backpack, a bedroll, a mess kit, a tinderbox, 10 torches, 10 days of rations, a water skin, and 50 feet of hempen rope. So you get one of those.
I mean, totally. Probably an explorer's pack. I don't know why.
So are
Probably.
you going to be performing holy rituals?
Am I? Well, yeah, probably. So priest's pack.
That's really the question, is if you're going to be doing holy stuff and like saying prayers and that kind of stuff, you want to go with the priest pack. But if you're looking for stuff and if you're going to be like the cook, or maybe making potions or whatever, or not necessarily potions because you need magic to do that, but like if you're gonna be making like herbal teas and that kind of stuff, you want to go with the explorer's pack. And the 50 feet of hempen rope is nice, but we've got a lot of rope already in the party, so
Okay, well, let's do the priest pack then. I could do some kind of creepy religious thing.
I mean, it doesn't have to be creepy. You're a life cleric.
Yeah.
And then you get a shield and a holy symbol.
Okay.
Your holy symbol acts as your spell focus. So when you cast your spells, you like hold up your holy symbol, and like because your magic comes from your god, right?
Got it.
So
And it can be whatever you want.
yeah.
It can be like a brooch. It can be a necklace.
Yeah, just probably be a necklace.
Palor's symbol is the sun, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a sun on your necklace. It just has to
Right.
be important to you.
Okay.
And you can hash that out
Yeah.
later. Put that there. And that's your equipment. Starting to take shape.
Yeah.
All right, now we get into the fun stuff. Spell casting.
Wait, the other stuff wasn't fun?
It was totally fun. Spellcasting is just the most fun.
So, as a conduit for divine power, you can cast cleric spells. See Chapter 10 for the general rules of spellcasting and Chapter 11 for this cleric spell list. I'm just reading the book here. So, cantrips. At first level, you know 3 cantrips of your choice from the cleric spell list. You learn additional cleric cantrips of your choice at higher levels, as shown in the cleric table. What the heck are cantrips?
Mm-hmm.
So cantrips are spells that you can cast pretty much on demand, and you don't really have to expend resources in order to do it, and they're not necessarily limited.
Got it.
So a lot of spells you might only be able to cast once per day, or would require a slot enabled to be able to use them. Where cantrips are just something you know off the top of your head and can just blast it off. at will. So preparing and casting spells. The cleric table shows how many spell slots you have to cast your spells of first level and higher. So these are going to be more powerful generally than cantrips, but they are limited in use. So as a first level cleric, you have 2 spell slots. 3 cantrips, and you have 2 first level spell slots. So what that means is you know some more powerful spells, but can only use those twice per day.
Got it.
Or twice per long rest or short rest, or twice per period of time.
Okay.
To cast one of these spells, you must expend a slot of the spell's level or higher. You gain all expended spell slots when you finish a long rest. So you prepare the list of cleric spells that are available for you to cast, choosing from the cleric spell list. When you do so, choose a number of cleric spells equal to your wisdom modifier, plus your cleric level, a minimum of 1 spell. The spells must be of a level for which you have a spell slot. So you will be able to have 5 spells prepared at any given time right now. Is that right? No. 4 spells prepared.
Okay.
Wisdom.
And you can change your list. Yeah, so 4. You can change your list of prepared spells when you finish a long rest. And a long rest is any period of 8 hours where you're just chilling, basically.
Okay.
In game time, not in real time.
Right.
Right.
Preparing a new list of cleric spells requires time spent in prayer and meditation. At least 1 minute per spell level for each spell on your list. So your spell casting ability is going to use wisdom, which is why we want your wisdom to be one of your best skills. So whenever you are going to cast a spell, you'll roll with your wisdom. And then add your proficiency bonus, which means that when you make a spell attack, you'll have a +5. And then there are certain spells that have a difficulty challenge. DC, whatever DC stands for. I don't know. Difficulty class. Something
Sure.
like that. Yeah, sure. It's 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. So your spell DC is 13.
So an example of that is, and I'm gonna use one that you won't use, but it makes sense. So I'm a wizard, and I cast Fireball. And instead of having the wizard roll an attack, all of the creatures who are in the effect of the fireball have to try to dodge out of the way by rolling a dexterity saving throw. And what they have to get in order to avoid the fireball is that wizard's spell DC. So
Got it.
you, like, let's say you channel your divine power to, I'm looking here. So let's go. Calm Emotions is a 2nd level cleric spell. And Calm Emotions forces a creature to make a charisma saving throw. And in order for that creature to pass, and stay angry, basically, they have to roll higher than a 13 on their charisma.
Okay. That makes sense.
So that's, and every spell's different, but that's sort of how the idea behind that.
Got it.
Okay, so you can cast cleric spells as a ritual. If it has a ritual tag, I won't go into too much detail about that right now. And a spellcasting focus. You use your holy symbol as your spellcasting focus for your cleric spells. So if you, for any reason, lose your holy symbol, you are basically going to have a tough time casting spells.
Got it. Don't lose the holy symbol.
Right.
Don't open the chest in the Tomb of Horrors.
Don't go through a misty archway either, apparently.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely don't go through the Misty Archway.
All right, so you now choose your divine domain. Knowledge, life, light, nature, tempest, trickery, or war. And I believe we landed on life.
Sure. Yeah.
Alright, so your choice grants you domain spells and other features when you choose it at first level. It also grants you additional ways to use Channel Divinity when you gain that feature at second level, and additional benefits at 6th, 8th, and 17th levels.
Cool.
Each domain has a list of spells. It's domain spells that you gain at the cleric levels noted in the domain description. Once you gain a domain spell, you always have it prepared, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare each day. If you have a domain spell that doesn't appear on your cleric list, the spell is nonetheless a cleric spell for you. So
Now instead of 4, you get 6 spells.
right. So as mentioned before, this doesn't apply to you right now because you're level 1, but you will at level 2 get Channel Divinity, which is a pretty important aspect of a cleric. You gain the ability to channel divine energy directly from your deity, using that energy to fuel magical effects. You start with 2 such effects: Turn Undead, an effect determined by your domain. Some domains grant you additional effects as you advance in levels. When you use your Channel Divinity, you choose which effect to create. You must then finish a short or long rest to use your Channel Divinity again. Channel Divinity effects require saving throws. When you use such an effect from this class, the DC equals your cleric spell save DC. So at level 2, you get the feature Turn Undead, which, as an action, you present your holy symbol and speak a prayer censoring the undead. Each undead that can see or hear you within 30 feet must make a wisdom saving throw. If the creature fails its saving throw, it is turned for 1 minute or until it takes any damage. A turned creature must spend its turns trying to move as far away from you as it can, and it can't willingly move to a space within 30 feet of you. So that's a pretty big feature of the clerics.
Awesome.
Back, vile demons!
Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? It's So the power of Christ compels you. Except in this case, it's not Christ.
Right.
It's Palor, the Sun Lord.
Correct. So now we go into our divine domain of life. The life domain focuses on the vibrant positive energy, one of the most fundamental forces in the universe that sustains all life. The gods of life promote vitality and health through healing the sick and wounded, caring for those in need, and driving away the forces of death and undeath. Almost any non-evil deity can claim influence over this domain, particularly agricultural deities, sun gods, gods of healing or endurance, gods of home and community. So, at first level, you get 2 spells automatically. So if you look over on your character sheet, we get Bless.
Oh.
We drag that in there, and there it is. And you get Cure Wounds. Not
You're
Q wounds.
Queuing wounds. That sounds less effective.
I just really like Qs.
That's fair. I mean,
You couldn't tell.
yeah.
So bless. You bless up to 3 creatures of your choice within range. Whenever a target makes an attack roll or saving throw before the spell ends, the target can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the attack roll or the saving throw. So it's kind of like a little buff. So if you rolled your mace,
23 is going to hit anything at first level.
23 is going to hit anything, but you could have rolled a d4 and added it to it, making it 27, which would be ridiculous, but you get the point. And then Cure Wounds. Heals for a d8.
Plus your wisdom, which is cool.
Yep. So you're going to be everyone's favorite person when they're bleeding and dying.
Right.
Remember that great fish I gave you?
So you get to gain heavy armor proficiency, which is why we gave you chainmail. And then you also become a disciple of life. At first level, your healing spells are more effective. Whenever you use a spell of first level or higher to restore hit points to a creature, the creature regains an additional 2 hit points, or an additional hit points equal to 2 plus the spell's level. So I think if we do +2, that'll do it. Cast at first level.
Should be +3, right?
Yeah, it should be. I'm just trying to figure out how to do the level. I guess we'll just have to change it as you gain level. So, yeah, I mean that's pretty powerful. You're going to be plus
Super
6,
good healer.
+6 no matter what.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. And that is that. So we get to choose your cantrips. And is it 2 other spells first level? Or
3.
3 other spells?
Sorry, 3 cantrips, 2 spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wonder if there's a way for us to see cleric spells by level. Alright, so here's our cantrips.
okay.
Got guidance, light, mending, resistance, sacred flame, spare the dying, and thaumaturgy. So you get to choose 3 of these.
Well, I'm a real big fan of Sacred Flame because that sounds awesome.
Sacred Flame is the cleric's, range spell attack. It's awesome.
Sacred flame it is. You get 2 more.
Okay.
Light is really useful.
I don't even know if anyone else has light. I'm sure someone else has light, but it's always useful.
Sure, let's do that.
Because you can basically create a torch out of anything. And it
Oh,
doesn't
that's
burn
nice.
you. 30 feet of bright light, 30 feet of dim light. It's like from a rock, or the end of your shield, or your holy symbol, or whatever. It's super cool.
Or Kazak's beak.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can cast it on the Shadow Monk and really piss him off. If he gave you a rotten fish.
Oh gosh, I cannot excuse.
And then flavorful, spare the dying is good for a life cleric.
Spare the Dying is really useful at first level.
Yeah, I like Spare the Dying.
Yeah, stabilizing people is pretty important. So we'll add that. And if you want to change any of these before we kick off, we certainly can.
As someone who has had their dying spared before, I'm really grateful for that.
All right, so then we get 2 more level 1s. Is that right?
Yep.
So we got Bless and Cure Wounds. So we have Bane, Command, Create or Destroy Water, Detect Evil and Good, Detect Magic, Detect Poison and Disease, Guiding Bolt, Healing Word, Inflict Wounds. Protection from good and evil. Man, Inflict Wounds is gnarly.
That's beastly for a first level spell.
Freaking gnarly.
Well, that seems like a good one to have then.
Does that scale for level?
It sure does.
Ouch.
Second level or higher, an additional D10.
What?
3d10 at first level, and every
Good
level beyond that is an additional d10. That's beastly.
At some point, it just becomes inflict death.
I mean, you're still rolling, so,
Sure.
but yeah, inflict huge amounts of damage.
She's gonna one shot like the first difficult enemy we have. It's like, oops.
That's when Mike just rips up the paper and throws it at the curtain.
Just shuts down the roll 20 session.
Rage quit the hangout.
You have to. It's touch, so that's where the danger is.
Oh, I see a little. Gotta give it a little touch.
Yeah,
Whoa.
but
Caress
chainmail
of
and
the
a shield,
cheek.
she's pretty beefy already.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it's like hard to hit.
I'm picturing her like crossing a room of enemies, just all clad in armor. No one can hit her or do much damage, and then she just wham right on the face and annihilated.
Yeah. It's awesome.
All right, and one more. So Sanctuary, Shield of Faith, Purify Food and Drink. Let's see if I can make this bigger and you can. Not quite.
Detect magic's always good to have. Create or destroy water's kind of useless. I mean, it's your character. Sorry, I probably should
No.
have said that about the water spell. I take it back.
No, I like the input. I don't, you know. So, okay, let's detect magic.
Or detect evil and good. Is that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, detect evil and
Yeah.
good's good too. That might be more on story.
Yeah, you've also got protection from evil and good too.
That's protection is, again, as someone who has been protected in the past, I'm very grateful for that.
Several benefits. Okay, yeah, let's do protection from evil and good.
Very well.
The other thing is when you get levels, you get spells. So your spell list is gonna get big pretty quick.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this is not all you're gonna know. Each level you'll be able to get more, pretty much, and As you can see, there are 9 levels, so things get pretty ridiculous later on in the world.
Awesome.
Like true polymorph.
All right, that's your spells.
Awesome.
We've got your attributes, most of your skill proficiencies, your equipment, your languages, your features and traits for the most part. At this point, I believe we will get to your background.
Don't forget Fey ancestry and the features
Oh,
and
yeah.
traits. Can't be magically charmed and can't be or advantage against magical charms and
Yeah.
can't be put to magical sleep.
Yep.
Which came in super useful against those sirens out on this motion ocean.
Okay, now background. Background, where are ya? Okay, here we go. So you're gonna have over here on your character sheet personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. We don't have to go into those into too much detail right now. You can kind of hash those out as you're thinking about your character's background and fun stuff like that. As far as alignment goes, you've got the lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good, lawful neutral, neutral, chaotic neutral. And that's pretty much where we would leave off. We're not doing any evil bastards this time around. So you can choose your alignment.
Does it have to match her god?
I'm not too much of a stickler on that.
Cool.
What are I feel like my alignment would be good, but what are the differences as far as like the chaotic or the lawful or
This we could spend all night talking
So-
about that.
Lawful is, as the name suggests, that you abide by law. Neutral is neutral good. Well, here I'll read what it says. So lawful good creatures can be counted on to do the right thing as expected by society. Neutral good folk do the best they can to help others according to their needs. Chaotic good creatures act as their conscience directs and with little regard for what others expect. Lawful neutral individuals act in accordance with law, tradition, or personal codes. Neutral is the alignment of those who prefer to steer clear of moral questions and don't take sides, doing what seems best at the time. And chaotic neutral creatures follow their whims, holding their personal freedom above all else.
I feel like my character would be like chaotic good.
I like it. Right. And now move on to background. So there are a few profiles, basically. And I don't think they're in Roll20. I think that's the one place they, really skimped out on. So I don't know the best way to do this. We've got acolytes. You've spent your life in service of a temple to a specific god or pantheon of gods. That would grant you skill proficiencies in insight and religion, and 2 additional languages, and some equipment. Charlatan, you have always had a way with people. You know what makes them tick. You can tease out their heart's desires after a few minutes of conversation. And that gets you proficiencies in deception and sleight of hand, tool proficiencies in disguise kit and forgery kit, and some equipment. Criminal background. You're an experienced criminal with a history of breaking the law.
That would be interesting.
So that gains you skill proficiencies in deception and stealth. Gets you tool proficiencies in a gaming set and thieves tools, and some equipment. There's a variant, criminal spy. And I guess there's not much difference. It's just context. Okay. Then there's an entertainer. You thrive in front of an audience. You know how to entrance them, entertain them, and even inspire them. Gains you proficiency in acrobatics and performance. You get a proficiency in disguise kit and a musical instrument. Some equipment. A folk hero. You come from a humble social rank, but you are destined for so much more. Gain skill proficiency in animal handling and survival, and tool proficiency in type of artisan tool and vehicles, and some equipment. A guild artisan. You're a member of an artisan's guild, skilled in a particular field and closely associated with other artisans. Gains you proficiency in insight and persuasion, tool proficiency in artisan tools, a language, and some equipment.
And you get to make stuff.
And there's a hermit. You lived in seclusion, either in a sheltered community such as a monastery or entirely alone. You gain skill proficiency in medicine and religion, tool proficiency in herbalism kit, and language of your choice, and some equipment. Then there's a noble. You understand wealth, power, and privilege. You carry a noble title, and your family owns land, collects taxes, and wields significant political influence.
You get to be better than everybody else.
Gains you skill proficiency in history and persuasion, and tool proficiency in one type of gaming set. You gain a language and some equipment. Then an outlander. You grew up in the wilds, far from civilization, in the comforts of town and technology. Skill proficiencies in athletics and survival.
I feel like technology with Outlander is in air quotes.
Yeah. tool proficiencies in a type of musical instrument, a language, and, yes, you guessed it, some equipment.
Wait, what? You get equipment for that one? No.
Then there's Sage. You spent years learning the lore of the multiverse. You gain skill proficiencies in Arcana and History. Get 2 languages. And big shocker, some equipment. Sailor. You sailed on a seagoing vessel for years. In that time, you faced down mighty storms, monsters of the deep, and those who wanted to sink your craft to the bottomless depths. You gain skill proficiency in athletics and perception, tool proficiencies in navigators, tools, and vehicles, water vehicles, and, hey, some equipment. Soldier, war spend your life for as long as you care to remember. Skill proficiencies in athletics and intimidation. Tool proficiencies in land vehicles and 1 type of gaming set. And equipment. And finally, an urchin. You grew up on the streets alone, orphaned and poor. You had no one to watch over you or to provide for you. So you learn to provide for yourself. You get skill proficiencies in sleight of hand and stealth, tool proficiencies in disguise kit and thieves tools, and some equipment.
Okay, that's a really big list.
That's a big list.
I have no idea. Sure.
So there's a couple ways to think about this. You can either go for the, oh, hey, that makes sense approach of maybe an acolyte or a sage or a hermit. Or you can go the kind of anachronistic route of, would a cleric really be a charlatan or a criminal?
Depends on your god.
Right, it would depend on your god, or, I mean, even so, a criminal background doesn't necessarily mean you're a criminal now. It could mean that you had a come to Jesus moment, or come to Palor moment, where you're no longer a criminal, but you have that background. So it can make for an interesting backstory if you so choose. So it doesn't necessarily have to make sense. You can make it make sense.
Jeez. Wow. I mean, I like in general for my character, like just off what I'm thinking is like they have a sense of they want to be good, but not that doesn't necessarily always align with what society says is good. So, I mean, I don't know if criminal is the way to go, but like definitely maybe a background of, I'm thinking maybe a background of like some kind of poverty and doing whatever it takes to get by kind of thing. So,
well, there's urchin, which is kind of what you're saying there.
Yeah, I guess that could. I have no idea. that was a lot to take in, and I'm just kind of like, okay.
How do you think your character grew up?
My thoughts are more like not necessarily orphan, but raised by like a very poor mother, kind of abandoned by a father, mother who is taking jobs here and there. Some of them may be illegal. Um, in kind of a it takes a village kind of way, like maybe some family here and there, but mostly just a very poor mother.
Why did you become a cleric?
I'm thinking mother dies and always had a lot of would have done anything for me. So my way of proving myself to her and doing what's right by her.
Urchin
Like
would
I
make a
always
lot of
wanted to make
sense
her
there.
proud, kind of thing.
What when your mom died, what who helped you get over that, or who helped you cope with the grief?
Um, I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking either um, like either brothers or uncles of some kind. Like I definitely like if it's a brother, I want to say like I would probably be the only it would be a half brother, so I would be the only half elf, and like my brother would be human.
Okay.
So raised mostly by humans.
Okay. Um, are you really good at something other than religion or clericing? I don't know if that's a verb.
Clericing.
Clericing, I haven't really thought that far ahead.
You could be a folk hero.
I kind of thought about folk hero. Like I definitely want to prove myself. I definitely want to make the sacrifices that she made for me worth her while kind of thing.
Yeah, I like folk hero. I think it goes along, I think, with what you were saying, where the event happens and then you go out to prove yourself and live up to the name that your mother raised, I guess.
I think folk hero makes a lot of sense for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so folk hero gets you animal handling
That's kind of awesome.
and survival, and one type of artisan's tool, which
And land vehicles,
yes.
so you can drive the cart.
Okay.
So for artisans' tools, you can choose between alchemist supplies, brewer's supplies, calligrapher's supplies, carpenter's tools, cartographer's tools, cobbler's tools, cook's utensils, glassblower's tools, jeweler's or leatherworker's tools, mason's tools, painter's supplies, potter's tools, smith's tools, tinker's tools, weaver's tools, or woodcarver's tools.
Oh wow.
Calligrapher
I mean,
makes a lot of sense if you're if you are copying books in for your religion, but any of the other ones could totally make sense.
and I know how to use these tools.
Yes, you're proficient. It's something you've had training in. It's something you know how to do.
So what would alchemist's tools be?
making and like mixing together explosives or acids or
Well, not really potions, I guess, but tinctures.
yeah, like alchemical light or stuff like that.
I don't know. There's a lot of really random tools.
Brewer's supplies could be like if you were Friar Tuck, you could totally be a brewer.
That would be kind of fun.
Or like Mason's tools, if you were like going out into the world to build churches, you could be a mason. Or like wood carver's tools, if you were like going to like either build houses or like spread the word of Palor by putting his symbols on into the wide world or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of different things you could do with it.
I like brewer's tools just because.
That sounds great.
I love it. I guess it doesn't let me put it in there. Oh, it's because it's. Okay, well. And brewer's tools use. Do you have it up, Rick?
Brewer's tools, I would say probably use
Intelligence?
charisma, but I don't know.
Okay. I can look it up later. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't think it really matters, but
No, it doesn't. Okay. That gets us about where we need to be. You can you get brewer supplies, I would assume. You get shovel. An iron pot. And close 10 GP. Okay. And aside from that, you can roll on your defining event, although it sounds like we kind of came up with your defining event as a folk hero, which I assume was the death of your mother.
Yeah.
These are just kind of cues for you to start thinking about your background. You get a feature of rustic hospitality. Since you come from the ranks of common folk, you fit in amongst them. with ease. You find a place to hide, rest, or recuperate among other commoners. Unless you've shown yourself to be a danger to them, they will shield you from the law or anyone else searching for you, though they will not risk their lives for you. So that's cool.
You gave them
Okay.
beer. They like you.
Yeah.
I'll be right
People
back.
relate. People relate to you. And I can't type. Okay. So aside from that, really all you need to figure out is your personality, traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. I don't know if you want to make those up or you can roll for them on the tables in your background of a folk hero.
Okay.
That is up to you.
I mean, I can probably make them up. Sure.
Tends to be the better way to go in my mind, because otherwise you're letting the book decide what you are. Like, you'll roll that and it'll suddenly tell you why you're a folk hero, and one of your flaws is a folk hero, where if you flesh yourself out and you just think of what you think about your character, those will come to mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is really your character in a nutshell.
Awesome.
I know that's a lot to take in.
It is.
And this is honestly my first attempt at walking someone through character creation who's never done it over the internet.
Well,
So, I'm sure we missed something. But it's definitely to a point where it's a character,
yeah, I'm excited.
and we just need to figure out your name, who you are, what you're like, who you like, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's where I'd say that Obsidian Portal is going to be really good for you, because you can see what we've done, so you can really get an idea for the way everybody's fleshed out their backgrounds, and just good stuff on there.
Yeah, I thought I'd dig into that a little bit this weekend and see what everybody's got going on so I can get my character going.
Yeah, there's the guys have written out some really cool stuff. I'm very pleased.
Awesome.
The other thing that you may want to try when you're thinking of your name, I know it sounds dumb, but I use fantasynamegenerators.com,
Mm-hmm.
and most of them are crap. But if you click the button a few times, you'll get one
Fun.
like, yeah, that doesn't suck, and you can use that.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to. You can be named Betty or whatever you want to be, but if you're like hitting a wall, that's a good place to get
Yeah,
some
I
inspiration.
sort of figured I'd use a name generator because I suck at names.
Me too.
And then you can add a picture if you go to your little character sheet where it says bio and info, and you just click edit. You can add a picture, or a portrait of what you think your cleric's going to look like?
Is that just me randomly finding pictures on the internet to use?
That's what I've done. Yeah.
You said
Google
you draw
images. Not well. They're stick figures. They're just creative in my mind.
You
Yeah,
can
so-
totally have a stick figure picture.
Like there's Gale of Wind.
Okay.
Alex has a really cool picture.
There's Dakath. There's Kazak. And Marcus. And his brother. Who looks more bard-like
Yeah,
than you?
Razan looks more like a bard than I do, but I'm gonna be better at it.
You're gonna be better at barding.
It's true. I was looking. I think I'm gonna get a set of panpipes. Just because it looks cool.
I can be proficient with one like type of musical instrument, and I was thinking how funny it would be if I chose pan flute, like basically, and then I just grab it from them sometime, and I'm like, do it more like this, and then hopefully roll well.
That would be
Instead, I'll
awesome.
probably go something like a lute or something, and then maybe we could jam. I don't know, but yeah, I liked it.
Now, see, my background also gave me an instrument, and I also picked panpipe just because I was thinking about, if I've got these big cat hands, what could I play? So I was like, I don't actually have to cover finger holes with a panpipe.
Pan flute band, just like 4 or 5 pan flutes busting out.
We have to
Be
be
awesome.
a band. We have to start a band.
Dueling pan flutes.
It's
Oh
better
my
than doing
God.
skin flutes.
Oh jeez.
Yes.
Whatever Maggie's name is, I feel like we need to be blank and the Pussycats because of Sean's character. Or Chris's character, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
All right. So,
Okay.
yeah, we've got Maggie's character. We've got everyone else's character. Maggie, you have a little bit of work to do in terms of hashing out a background, but aside from that, I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
So pumped.
That's awesome.
Can see you.
And then I think we're still up in the air. What day will be the first day?
My vote's the 19th.
I'm cool with that.
I think
Sure.
that would be a good one.
That was the date you were saying, like I had suggested, right? Because it would avoid us playing on Memorial Day weekend in case people are out for that.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
All right, so we'll plan for the 19th. So that gives us a couple weeks where I will probably be busily adding things to the portal and making maps and stuff. If you guys have any questions, want to bounce anything off of me during that time, feel free.
Or cool band names.
Or cool
Awesome.
names. And then if at any point anyone wants to jump on Roll20 or Google Hangouts and do a chat at some point between now and the 19th, I am also open to that. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Mm.
I think it's time for me to go to bed.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'm staring off into nothing and just
I was wondering. I was like, did Mike lose it for a moment? Well, then I'll get it going right away because I was thinking the same thing. I'm tired, and you guys have way more hours into the morning than me. But because as Mike said earlier, gratitude is how we end this thing. So we'll find the energy to get through it. And I will say it right here and now. I had a not much sleep in an early morning, so my gratitude specifically goes to Rick for adding a good amount of levity and fun to the session, despite the majority of us hearing the same thing, as well as all the jumping in there and helping out and basically making me, as somebody who is still in my mind a novice to this game, feeling like, oh wow, like Maggie has no reason to worry about asking questions. I certainly the hell don't, because look at how helpful our group is. So specifically Rick, group overall, but Rick, you're awesome, dude.
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for helping so much.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo thanks to Rick for jumping in there and helping out on rule book stuff, explanations. It was super helpful for me.
You're welcome. I'm going to have gratitude to Maggie specifically for jumping into the nerd pool that is D&D and having some good ideas and having some openness to be willing to play with a irreverent group such as us. So thank you for not being too nervous with a completely new group of people, and welcome and thanks for playing.
Awesome. I mean, thank all of you guys for helping me out. I really had no idea on some of those things. So I feel like it helped me
That's great.
get this character put together, which is awesome.
It's gonna be super fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I
just
was
so
gonna
you
say
know,
thanks.
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
And say, just so you know, Maggie, now for the rest of forever, as long as you play any RPGs, clerics will be your favorite class because that's what you picked for your first one.
Awesome.
I'd say thanks to Mike for helping me work out the issues with the dice. I'm finally ready to use this Roll20 thing, and also when I finally started looking at that Obsidian portal to fill out my character, I was surprised at how much was already there. So I thought that was super cool. And then quick thanks to Rick. I noticed right off the bat before I got to the Google Hangout, you'd sent me a message on the Roll20 thing, letting me know that the Hangout was where I needed to go. So I appreciate you looking out.
We didn't want to have you waiting around for us for an hour like last time. Be like, where's everybody?
Oh man, I gotta tell you, the sound is so bad if you're just trying to use that Roll20.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So the Hangout's definitely way better.
For sure.
All right,
Well,
guys.
cool, and thank you
Cool.
to everyone again. I am super excited to be playing with you guys.
Thank you to you, oh